tweeting it out now. Somebody drop it in the Discord.
Yeah.
Now.
When was our last one? That was
March 27th.
Whew.
We do 3 weeks now, John.
I know. I just have so much shit on here.
Oh boy.
No, I'm gonna boil it down.
I was like, am I going to talk about anime? And then it's like, no, anime is kind of boring to talk about. I don't know. But I want John to talk about one thing that he watched.
Yeah, if I didn't boil down, I have like 25 things here. So I'm
Come on.
very much. No. Do not fret. I am very much boiling down here.
I know the speed at which you're like, I read a light novel. I read a movie or watched a movie.
I just read 14 graphic novels.
That was fun.
You finished game and then we're immediately at the end game of other game. I'm like, what the hell?
What happened here?
Where did that happen?
I was already halfway through Dark Alliance, like when I picked up Planescape Torment. So that's why I was.
Okay.
That's why I was like,
That was
already
so
at the end
sudden to
game.
me. I'm like, wait, this is different Western RPG. What's going on?
Barely an RPG.
Okay.
Dumbed down for consoles.
I just
Right.
the name Baldur's Gate,
It seemed
implies something other than what it was.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, so we can chat about that.
Yeah. Don't blow your load before everybody's gotten here. Save
That's
some.
a tale
Save
as old
some.
as time.
Save some for everybody coming in.
Coming in.
Coming in. Coming in. Coming in. Coming in.
Ah! Oh God, you made the avatar bigger.
Yeah. That's a fun little thing I get to do when I want to
It's a
call
good
something
That's a
out.
good joke.
It is, right? I
That
go,
is such a pretty.
and then,
That is such a pretty cover art.
It
Sarah
is.
really killed it.
It's one of our best. It's one of our absolute best.
Let's see here. That's my boiling down on Notepad here. Typity type 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 typity typity type type type.
Some people are into ASMR typing streams.
I know like a number of streamers that I follow have done them.
Yep.
They got really nice
I've
mechanical
seen it.
keyboards. It sounds really good.
So one of them is Polly. To be clear, some of the people that like those.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
exactly.
How's your weekend been, Polly? We hung out Friday.
I mean,
And since then?
it's like fucking cold. It's miserable. It's been a real shitty 3-day weekend.
Aww.
Yeah, I feel you.
Wait, is your 3-day Monday off or Friday
Yeah,
off?
Monday.
Okay.
And tomorrow
Okay,
it's
so
supposed to snow, so
Oh.
yeah, been real great.
So
I took my hour-long walk, even though it's like 37, because like in Chicago, 37 and sunny is like, yep, that's good enough weather. Yeah, I'll walk in this.
Yeah.
do you have Monday off for a specific holiday?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Easter?
See, I didn't think Easter was a day people got off.
It typically
Yeah, I
isn't.
got Good Friday off.
It typically isn't. They usually do Good Friday or nothing at all. But I,
Okay.
for some reason, got Monday, so I'm not going to
Weird.
argue.
Because in Massachusetts, they have Patriots Day, which is always like the third Monday of April.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I get it off.
Oh, okay.
But then I realized, that's just a local thing. Why do other people have the long weekend?
Yeah.
Because Easter does not always line up like it.
No.
Is it related to the football team?
No.
Okay. That would be funny, though.
The Boston Marathon is always on Patriots Day.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Except for the last 2 years because of the ongoing
An
situation.
ongoing situation that may be going on in the world and inhibiting us from doing the things that maybe we want to do as a society.
But not anime.
But not anime. This is not a podcast where we tolerate any of that anime shenanigans.
Aww.
Hey, everybody! Welcome. What is up? Welcome to Sockscast, episode 154, the magical episode where everything happens. It's the one where this is the one everybody's been waiting for. Just like ever since we started, this is like, man, when they
Season
get
finale.
when they get to 154, shit's gonna pop off. And that's what's happening right now. It's just popping off. You can't stop it. Once you pop, it's fucking Pringles up in here, bitch.
Yeah.
I love me some Pringles. I like a damn good can of Pringles. All right. Let's talk about Pringles. Let's talk about it. Let's boil it on down.
Fine. All right, fine. Let's get into this.
All right, let's
finally getting into the crisps.
Finally getting into the crisp. Getting into the because you can't call them chips. They are crisps.
Legally.
Yeah, you legally cannot call them chips. They are crisps. But yeah, like speaking of Pringles, like what's your favorite? Let's get some discourse going. John, got a favorite Pringle?
I can't eat Pringles anymore.
That doesn't mean you can't have a favorite. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Which one makes your butt ail the less?
I haven't eaten Pringles in 7 years, Polly. I miss them.
God.
I think I'm trying to send my mind back to that blissful before time when I could eat Pringles. And I think I ate a lot of sour cream and onion.
I think that's real good.
Yeah, I think I ate a lot of sour cream and onion, and then I couldn't anymore. And it was very sad.
Rhett, got a favorite Pringle?
I think my favorite might just be the basic cheddar cheese one.
Oh yeah, those are solid.
I really like the barbecue as well.
Oh yeah, the barbecue's
barbecue chips are so good.
It's not too sweet. It's not like hot or anything. It's just like this really nice balance. And that, man,
they're definitely not hot because I can't handle hot at all.
Oh yeah. You're not like okay.
Yeah. But unfortunately, like John, because I'm on a diet right now,
you can't have
Pringles were like, hey, stop like eating an entire tube of these.
Yeah,
like it's a single meal.
That's a problem.
you dipshit.
That's why I can't buy Pringles. That's a big problem. Like if I typically want to. When you open, like, they're not kidding.
They're not kidding.
Once you pop, you're just not going to stop.
That was like, when I started my diet in October, it was like, you have to recognize flaws in yourself. And one of those flaws is that if there are chips in the house,
you're going to eat the whole thing.
I'm going to eat
chips are so good.
Like it's so easy.
So good.
It's so easy to like grab a fucking tube of Pringles and just devour the whole thing without realizing it. Or grab a whole bag of fucking Doritos and just be like, well, suddenly an hour later, I don't know where somebody took my Doritos. Where have they gone?
The 3D Doritos especially were just like,
that's the
worst.
Where'd
they go? They go so quick.
They like you know, like you're like maybe like get self-conscious, maybe like eat one at once, try to be very very conservative with your consumption of the 3D Doritos. It's just like, nah, man, you're not gonna hold out too long. Those things are just too damn good. My favorite Pringles, I like the regular. I think those just by themselves are really good. Pizza, pretty solid.
Pizza. I think I was kind of confusing the pizza and barbecue. I like both of them.
Oh yeah.
I might put pizza above barbecue. They're kind of similar.
Pizza and regular, I think, are probably my main jam. But those cheddar ones by themselves are just like, those are dope as hell. Yeah. All right, so that's our crisps discussion. I know that's what everybody was like coming here. They were like, finally, 154. We're gonna talk about the crisps at the start.
I feel like two of us don't wanted that anymore. To be. I feel like the audience wanted us to get a little more like aggro about it. Oh. Just like the fucking pizza Pringles pie. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like we don't have that energy. It's impossible for us to be mad at one another. We've never once been mad at each other over anything at all. Ever.
Well, until on Game of the Year when Polly reveals her favorite is actually sour cream.
Yeah, then that shit's gonna hit the fucking fan after that, man. But you gotta stick around for the end of the year on that, man. Like I'm holding out. Like that's sweeps week, man. You're gonna come across with the big Pringles revelations at the end of the year. That's when you gotta let things out. Remember a couple years ago, it was like I remember me finding out that Doritos 3D were coming back on this show and freaking the fuck out for like 10 minutes straight, being the happiest person on the planet. That's one of my favorite Sockscast memories.
That's so nice. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful to watch.
Oh my God. I remember literally going to the store the day that they said that those were coming out and like waiting. Be like, you got them, motherfucker. I know you do. Doritos 3D are really good. Yeah, they're bad for your diet though. But it seems like they're sticking around now. It seems like there's like a mainline brand, at least for now. It's not like just a temporary thing because they've been around for like a year and a half now. So,
Polly,
I know
if you told me,
you probably desire so hard right now.
No,
right?
no. It's time. If you told me they came back January 2020 or 2022,
oh God,
I would believe you. But I guess they came back January 2021.
No, we don't do time here. Listen, time does not exist.
You just said they've been around for over a year.
My bad. Time does not exist on the podcast. Not in podcast land. Time does not exist. That's just how it is from now on. To my immediate virtual right, what's the trick to making his love stick? It's Rhett.
Hey.
So what's the trick to making your love stick?
Is it sticky? I guess
it is. I can think of a couple of things that make your love sticky, but I will abstain from mentioning them on the podcast and spare you.
We never go R18 here.
No.
This is a family-friendly episode.
Yeah, we always do family-friendly episodes every, it's Easter. So, here in the States,
God.
This is normal Easter. This is Jesus Day. We're all pogging
Absolutely.
out. We're pogging out for Christ right now. So
can I say something incredibly stupid?
Go for it.
Just as a quick aside, my mom says, Happy Easter. I swear to God, I almost in reply said Happy Easter Xbox.
I did not realize how many Easter memes that we've accumulated as a society, but my feed has been like a nonstop feed of Jesus
just
jokes.
Very funny Jesus
and it's
jokes
very
today.
funny to me.
I feel like I didn't really start seeing the influx of, this is the first year I really started noticing there was some really solid Jesus material out there on the internet.
It's definitely been this year for me as well. But I post that stupid Xbox Easter video every year. Yeah,
it's a great video. Happy Easter, Xbox. So sticky love. That's all Rhett's been up to lately. Or like your love stick. You got a love stick, a giant thick love stick.
Oh yeah, like a magical girl wand.
Yeah. You whip it out, you wave it around, and magic comes out. After a little, after you wave it around a little bit, it's got to take a little bit. You got to prime it, get it going. Yeah.
Then the sparkles come out.
Family friendly, folks. Family friendly. To my immediate virtual left, buzzing back to life like freeze dried flies, it's Sean Thayer.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm just having a lovely weekend. I reached Media Zero yet again.
It feels real good, doesn't it? When you finally hit nothing there.
Does it?
I do. Like when I hit Media Zero and there's literally nothing I am in the middle of, I kind of just want to enjoy that for a few days.
Yeah, Red and I talked for 2 or 3 hours. I was kind of like, oh God, what now? Oh, the walls are closing in. I don't know what I'm supposed to spend my time doing here.
Oh man.
And then I took my long hot bath. I took my long walk. Watched some movies, chilled out, and I was like, okay, I can live here for a bit. I don't need to be playing an RPG every waking minute of my free time. Mm-hmm. And I can not do that and not die.
Yeah.
I'm not at that point yet.
You don't need sustenance of media to stay alive, John.
Some of us do.
I mean, yeah.
Well, I think you need some. I think you need. I think you need art, or you die. But I don't think I necessarily need to be constantly in the middle of a long RPG.
You also need to fart or you'll die.
It's true.
So you know. Just wanted to point that out. I think that people come here for, the lively, crisp talk and finding out about sticky love, and also, good health advice. If you don't fart,
or die.
If you don't fart, I want that to be my new campaign this summer. It's like I want to really advocate on people farting more. It's just like fart or die.
I don't need advocation on that.
I'm gonna get some signs made and go around town. I'm gonna plaster it all over my streams from now on. Fart or die, and I'm gonna have like
seems like a threat.
I'm gonna get Chuck D of Public Enemy to write a song about it. It'd be great. I wonder if I could get Chuck D to write a song about Fart or Die.
I don't know. Chuck D. Red, do you know what Chuck D is?
No.
Nah, I don't.
Polly, who's Chuck D?
He's one half of Public Enemy.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah. He's the guy that's not the guy that wears the clock.
Okay.
The guy that wears the clock, Flavor Flav, he would probably just drop some hot fart bars in a minute. Like that dude, all over them fart bars. But I want the more serious guy to drop the fart bars. I think that would be really great if I could get Chuck D to rap me some fart bars. I think that should be like the ultimate test of any rapper from now on is like, I'm going to go up to him and be like, look, you're not really a rapper unless you can drop me a hot 16 about needing to take a big dookie.
I feel like that is more broadly applicable to media beyond rap.
Yeah,
I feel like
I think so, yeah.
just kind of give a nice prompt, just like, hey, make a thing about taking a big shit.
Yeah. Make a big
And then,
shit
like-
game. A big shit. That should be my next game.
Or
a
like
big shit
compose a piano sonata about taking a big shit.
game. Yeah, there you go.
Do a stand-up routine. Oh, God.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter,
Happy
everybody.
Easter. I watched some movies.
Speaking of brown, the cross is brown like poop. Like a turd.
Stupid.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's why I picked the wood cross. That's why
Exactly.
it's made of wood and
It's
not
made
other
of- yeah.
other material.
And we're like, look, man, we gotta look, crucifixions are really fucking depressing, but what if we made them, what if we made crucifixes out of wood? And then people be like, that's the color of farts.
That's also a boner joke.
That's poop. That's poop. It's a poop joke.
And it's a boner joke.
So it's just like, yeah, somebody's dying on a cross. They're starving to death. They're probably having their entrails dragged out in some versions of this situation. It's terrible, but you can look at that cross and go either, ha ha ha, dick joke, or ha ha ha, that's poop.
What happened?
Happy Easter.
I know, it's pretty hot.
Yeah. You
Literally.
watched movies, John.
It's like the desert.
You
out
watched
there.
John
movies.
trying to save us.
John watched movies. What did you watch, John?
All right. I don't know. I don't know how much the crossover was between the two of you exactly here. I watched A Silent Voice.
Yeah!
Polly loves that movie. I liked it.
love that movie. And Red has terrible opinions.
Oh! I'm interested. I couldn't quite remember how it broke down. Yeah.
I didn't dislike it. I watched A Silent Voice and Your Name like back to back pretty much, and liked both of them about the same. And Polly was like, "No, goddammit!"
I mean, I think Your Name is pretty bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I
You chose
love
a side.
both of
I was
them. I loved Your Name. I loved A Silent Voice. They are very different movies, I would say.
Oh, sure.
I think they came out the same year, and that's why they kind of got pitted against each other.
That's why.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Both better than Weathering with You.
Ooh.
That's my hot take.
Ooh.
And Weathering with You. So this is the one. Silent Voice is the one where all I knew was the premise, which is that it's about a guy who, as a kid, bullied a deaf girl at school.
Oof.
And it's really rough.
And-
It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
And then they meet up again as adults and like form a friendship. And that is such a premise. That is a premise and a half, huh?
It's real fucking heavy.
It's
it was like,
real good.
man, it's like, I don't know how you're gonna do this and make this feel like going into it the first time. Like, how are you gonna do this and make this feel genuine and not awful? And it's just like, oh no, it feels awful in all the ways that it's supposed to feel awful. But the way they kind of construct that relationship of him kind of like trying to make amends after all of this, and it is a bumpy fucking ride.
Yeah.
It is ugly
It's
and
so
fraught with so much. Whew. It's rough.
It's a lot. I loved so many of the characters in this one. His mom is so sweet. His mom is so good.
Yeah.
just like up there with the Toradora mom.
Oh God, they're both so good. Yeah, I really love Ryuji's mom. She tries so hard.
Oh my God, the mom in Silent Voice has to try very hard. Didn't the dub have an actual deaf actor do the voice of one of the leads? And I believe so.
Both the Japanese and the English dub used a deaf actress for the main female lead. Yes.
Good. That's really nice. That's really cool. I was just very moved by this story. That first 20 minutes is really brutal.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's exactly like when we watched Watamote, and if at any point they would have bullied Kuroko going through what she was going through, you couldn't have stood it. And this is like,
that movie.
This is that movie. This is the part where she's actually bullied for her differences, and it hurts really bad.
I feel like this is going to be a theme with both movies here, but they just like, it's so not overdone. It's so not overstated.
No.
The bullying especially is
it's exactly the things shitty kid, you do when you're a shitty kid. And kids are often the cruelest people.
Oh yeah. It really captured that like cruelty of children very painfully, and
like it's an honest look at what bullying looks like. And it's not meant to be pretty. It's meant to be unsettling. It's meant to put you in the right mindset of where you need to be to watch this movie.
So that it's a really, really nice movie ultimately.
Yeah.
I think that's something like I did not have any understanding of going into it, is like that it's ultimately like a very warm and kind-hearted movie, I think. I cried a lot at the ending. I thought it was really sweet.
Yeah, it's man, I know that shit hit real fucking hard. I wasn't watching it myself. I was watching it with a bunch of people. Like, oh no, this is going terribly for me.
So yeah, I fucking loved that. I thought it was really, really well done. I thought like I kind of talked about this a lot, but like last year I like played a lot of RPGs that were like crappy man does shitty things and then feels bad about it.
Yeah.
And like kind of drawing threads from like, or not even like crappy man, but just like a dude does shitty things like usually to a woman and feels really bad about it. Like I was kind of drawing threads between like Trails Third and Xenogears and like kind of realizing like, boy, this is a common trope in a lot of things I like. But like
almost like John has specific tastes.
That's I feel like a Silent Voice is like I feel like it hits a lot harder by being a much smaller, realer like crime, basically.
It's very grounded in reality. There's nothing over the top about the bullying that the main character goes through. There's nothing over the top about the mental struggles that the main dude character is going through. It's all very real, and it's sobering, and you probably relate to it on some level to one of these characters in one way or another. And it's very uncomfortable. And it's supposed to be like we often enjoy media that puts us in a place that makes you feel something. And I think that the fact that it makes you feel something like that's very real means that it's very potent and it's very well fucking put together. It's very well researched, and a lot of heart went into writing and making it.
10,000%. Just like, I feel like this is a more responsible version of that story to me, just because the pain here is a lot less like, big and operatic, and instead it's just like that very grounded
There's
thing.
no
Instead
quick
of like,
fix. It's not immediate, like, we can fix this. There's a lot of trepidation. There's a lot of bumps along the road. It's not always pretty. It's ugly. It's honest in a way that actual human relationships have to be to get through things sometimes. And the place they kind of end up with that by the end of the film feels very satisfying, because they spent the past 90 minutes earning everything.
And I feel like, even though it's like, it definitely Ishida's story. I think I feel like it does a lot to I think it does a lot to like not be as dehumanizing for Nishimiya.
Not at all. It's in no way like she's the most human character in that show, in that movie.
Rather than just feeling like a prop for his journey.
Yeah, she's not. That is exactly why that movie works, is that she is not a prop. These are two characters that are both at the end of a shitty situation that are trying to work towards a medium and to work past it and find a new normal. Without either of them kind of being like, I guess, cast as a villain or a heroine. It's just real normal human shit. And yeah, like everything's very humanized.
I feel like in that one, like I kept trying to like put people in boxes. Like, oh, this is the horror. This is the irredeemable shithead over here. This is the perfect nice person, and then like
there is an irredeemable shithead in this movie. There is. I mean, she is an irredeemable shithead.
She sucks a lot.
Holy fuck! Like I wanted to body slam her through a table.
But even the way they resolved that, it kind of getting into her head a little more.
Yeah, like it left her like the character is still left with something to think about.
Just like it. That person's a shithead in the way that real people are shitheads.
Yes,
basically.
Absolutely.
Zela's in the chat. Baka. Yep, that's a good moment. I think the I'm doing my best was the one that gutted me the most.
Oh,
so yeah.
I can remember I'm sitting here literally right now holding it all back because I can feel it welling up because of how hard that movie fucking hits me, okay?
And it went up for the Mainichi Film Award for Best Animation, but lost to Your Name. Oh,
shut up.
I watched another movie. It's also a Naoko Yamada movie.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it turns out she's extremely good at making movies. At least I watched Liz and the Bluebird.
Oh, yeah. I've not seen this.
I really like this movie, Polly.
What is it? What is it about? Dude, fill us in.
Okay. So it is about two high school girls in their concert band at school. They're both learning basically like the duet part of a larger piece for their thing. And it's pretty clear, like right off the bat, that one of them is just desperately in love with the other one. Just head over heels. She's Mizore. She's extremely like quiet. She struggles. She does not seem like mean or standoffish, but she's like, not just shy, but also like does not really take an interest in other people very much.
Extremely kind of dependent on the other girl.
Yeah, on Nozomi. And just like and Nozomi is very extroverted and has a lot of friends and kind of adopted Mizore near like at the start of school. This movie centers around like concert band, like being in a concert band at school, and the main character is an oboist, and bassoonists play a major part in this movie.
Oh, okay. This
movie. Yeah, this movie got me so that like there are lots of shots of Mizore like scraping away at her reed at her desk. Like I just got blast from the past and all of this double reed shit.
As soon as you said, as soon as you said bassoon player, I was like, oh, I know where this is going.
The double one of them is like, us double reeds need to stick together, and I was like, yes. When she soaks her reed in water before she plays, I was like, oh. Just the way that the tenor of the instruments tells a story also throughout the movie. Like a lot of the times the performances aren't quite perfect. Like they're not just like perfect, studio orchestra performances. They are like the music that these characters perform on their instruments, on their oboe. There's so much good oboe music in this movie. When the bassoonists walk in, they play a bassoon when the other double reeds walk in, they play a bassoon oboe duet in the background as they're like themed. It's very like what's that? Fox and the Hound, not Fox and the Hound. There's like a very old classic thing they play in school where like Peter and the Wolf it's very Peter and the Wolf with the how the music plays out in the movie. And I just loved all of the details to do with that stuff. I thought it was like extremely well done, and it plays into the actual emotional journey here in a very visceral, beautiful way near the end. I think one thing I really liked about this is that I don't feel like this movie hides anything from you, like the whole time. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like near the start, like 3 minutes into the movie, they're like, there's a little bit of a framing story where they're talking about Liz and the Bluebird, which is the story of the music that the music they're performing was based on. And they cut to like this beautiful, like Ghibli looking animated sequence with these characters for that, which is always really striking. And then they get to, they like lay out the story of Liz and the Bluebird. It's like Liz met this lovely bluebird who turned into a person, and then they're together and they love each other. But then ultimately she has to set the bluebird free because she feels that she's like caged down, and they have to part at the end. And then one of them is like, I feel like we're kind of like them.
Oh, yeah. No.
Like right at the start of the movie. And you're like, okay, I know where this is going.
Well, I know where I'm going to be in the next 90 minutes.
They just tell you that. And then like at every step, the body language of this movie is so real. If you want to like communicate how gay somebody is with body language, I feel like this movie is a masterclass in this, because Mizore just like the little fiddles with her hair, all the little motions, like all of the ways that they animate her are like, you just know exactly what she's feeling without them having to say anything.
Yeah, and it was really weird when she made her fingers into a V, pressed them to her lips, and put her tongue out and just started going, la, 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 la. Man, it just kind of really a nail on the head moment, right?
Mm-hmm. So I was just like very brought in by that. Mm-hmm. And then also it's like, okay, here's a very quiet movie where nothing happens, where nothing really happens. It's just like la-di-da-di-da. And you know where it's going, and there's no real twists or surprises. And it just, you are experiencing the emotional journey at like exactly the same rate as the people on screen. Mm-hmm. And just by the last like 20 to 30 minutes, I was just like on the couch, clutching my pillow, just like really, 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 really moved.
Aww.
'Cause like ultimately Nozomi does not really feel the same way as Mizore.
Yeah, like that kind of a realistic thing here, you know.
It's extremely realistic, and there are surprises in terms of like who is kind of taking initiative, who is like being proactive in the last third or so, mm-hmm. who is making the changes that need to happen here. But like it's also not really a surprise because you are just watch them get exactly to that point. Like I just feel like this is a small, very real thing, because like even a silent voice in comparison has like multiple on-screen like big, very, very big moments of like a character mm-hmm. attempting suicide, like
yeah.
And that stuff is still obviously very real, and it feels very real in that context. But like in this one, it's even more like small scale than that, while still like kind of hurting a lot and still cutting into something really real. Mm-hmm. So I in a way I kind of like this one just as much. I was just like really blown away by how they effectively they communicated this kind of this very singular character journey.
Very cool. Like, this is definitely on my to watch list now. Yeah.
Nice. So that's Naoko Yamada. Yeah. Her other things were the Tomoko Market movie.
Say it. I went on her Wikipedia page.
And of course, the entire classic series, KyoAni series, K-On! And the K-On! Movie.
I think I just broke. What?
I'm like, wow, I didn't know Silent Voice and Liz and the Bluebird had the same director, and then I go on her page. Directed all of K-On! I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, hey, source material, what can you do?
I mean, yeah, you can only work with what you got, and K-On! Ain't got a lot.
So the
interesting thing to me about Liz and the Bluebird, obviously I really like the movie. I've seen it twice, but I have a very different context for it because those are characters from Hibike Euphonium.
I'm interested in how that changes things for you.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like they have a whole arc in season 2. And
okay, so I don't need to actually know sound euphonium to know.
No, you don't.
To appreciate this movie. It's just one of those. It's one of those things where it's just like with this added context, it may shine a little more. Or
yeah, I was just interested in how John would approach it, having not seen the series, and it was really
just
cool
like
to hear.
Perfect character story about these two. Like I felt like they shared everything I needed to know about them in the context of this movie.
But if you do want more of them, they're in season 2 a bunch.
Oh, duly noted. That's good. So wait, does the movie take place like?
Yeah, the movie is it's after season 2. Oh. Or actually, God, it's kind of weird. It might be concurrent to season 2 because I think they say Liz and the Bluebird as the song they're performing in season 2. But like the movie is a standalone. It's fine.
Well, this was a like I don't necessarily expect like Sound Euphonium to be like the same type of thing exactly, but this was an extremely strong introduction to that universe for sure.
It is very
good.
The most actual lesbian story being told in Sound Euphonium, some might say.
Shut up.
Hey man, I'm not letting that go. I'm not here for Yuri bait, friend.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If you go into this with like a certain, I could imagine people being annoyed at Liz and the Bluebird because this is like the uncharitable read here is that this is another story about like two girls
can't possibly have an actual relationship. Yeah, I get that.
Mm-hmm. And then literally like, and then they have to leave these childish things behind so that they can go do their real life and probably get married.
That's like the read that you can get from it. That's like very, but I feel that like knowing how the person who directed it tells stories, I kind of just don't. I feel like it's more of just like, hey, like more of like a missed connection kind of story rather than like I trust this director a lot more with what maybe she's trying to say than I would this story in other hands. Maybe.
To me, I kind of took it away as just like this is the story. This to me was the story of like a really cool, a young queer girl having just this absolute head over heels hopeless crush in her cool straight friend, and the cool straight friend being kind of self-centered and liking the attention and not really knowing what to do.
Yeah. Because there's definitely a shitty way that you can go about that, and exploring that space can be really cool. I think that and because it's again much like A Silent Voice, it's grounded in reality because that can happen. Like I've seen it happen a number of times where gay person maybe being a little overly flirty with straight person like that attention, and maybe things kind of go a little sideways and things need to be corrected. So I can see like this
it's very real.
That can be that can be fine material for a movie, and it sounds like this is really approaching that from the proper standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was very moved. This was very cool. It's nice getting out of the bubble of like specifically like Ghibli, Shinkai, Hosoda, because like I've gotten bored with like later entries from all of those people, and it's kind of like, and I was like, oh, there are other anime movies that aren't even there are. Yeah, I was gonna say that aren't even spin-offs of anime, but then realized this technically is.
Yeah. It's got that. It's weird because it is the most standalone. Like you wouldn't watch Revue Starlight movie without the series, but this one you can't totally watch without the series.
It's very funny that Liz and the Bluebird is basically the same. They almost plays out as like the same story as Revue Starlight movie.
I was going to say, like, the thing about Sound Euphonium in general is that it's the same style of like, these are really big stakes to the characters living them, even though it's small high school drama.
Yeah.
Like everything in that series feels so important to the characters. But it's like,
well, we're all the main character of our own lives, and we all have things in our lives that we've had gone through. That's like, this is the end of the world. Literal end of the world is happening right now, and it's literally a fucking blip on the radar.
It's like, who's going to play lead trumpet in the concert is like a big fucking deal.
Yeah,
they're very mad and dramatic about
it. It's just a fucking high school band. People chill.
I never thought about the oboe stuff in this movie but I had that same experience watching Sound Euphonium because one of the main characters plays trumpet. And they do marching band stuff. So I still had the nostalgia's coming back to me when I watch this show.
Now we just need a drumming anime, and we can finally pull me into this genre.
God, I can't believe there's not a drummer girl in this show. There could be, like, there is a boy who drums, but
am I stuck with Ritsu? Is that like the only good drummer character that I get?
Right.
Like, Ritsu is like the best. Like it's fine because Ritsu is unfortunately the best character in her show. If you take her out and put her in her own show, you put her in something worthwhile. Give her a story. Yeah, but she's like the only good character in K-On! And it's great. Yeah. Like I only have one character I can relate to as a drummer. Fantastic. Toho's got a great drummer girl though, but they ain't no really official material about her other than the game she's in. So
tragic.
Yeah.
That was my anime adventure. That was my anime movie adventure. I was very funny when I was freaking out yesterday. I was like, when I was freaking out, like, oh God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna media? And then I was like, have you watched anime? No. Have you tried watching anime? And I was like, oh, I watched anime and it was very good.
I like anime because it can tend to be low commitment. Like, hey, watch a movie or, a 12 episode series.
Yeah.
Rather than 20-hour JRPG.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of cut. It's nice to cut the longer form game stuff with that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to get my anime stuff going again because I think 86 just finished airing, so I need to get that going because I need to watch that. All right, so okay, and you've been John, you've been on a hell of a movie, like not just anime movies. Like we've watched a lot of movies. Like me and John have watched like 4 movies together over the last couple months or so, and it's been
we've been eating up a ton. If you want to talk about that,
I'll take a little detour here.
Sure.
Me and John have been watching just some Martin Scorsese flicks because Martin Scorsese, I think I'd say is my favorite director, just ever.
Awesome.
So like we watched The Last Temptation of Christ. We watched
Topical.
Raging Bull. Yeah, topical, by the way. And those were great. Like those were just like, oh, you got to get the feeling for what Scorsese does in terms of like drama and the way that he frames those types of stories. And then like John got his first potent shot of Robert De Niro just like being this acting chameleon of just like, this is your first impression of Robert De Niro in Raging Bull. It's just like, oh, okay, that is a character study. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the dude gained 60 pounds to film the last like third of that movie. He gained 60 pounds to do that.
Oh my God.
It's not a fat suit. He gained 60 pounds to do it. But yeah, like that. And then we go from that to The King of Comedy, which is like this black comedy starring Robert De Niro and Jerry Lewis, and about like it's just about like an obsessive fan like trying to insert himself into this other comic's life, and like a lot of crazy shit happens in that, and it ends up being a very funny movie, but for a lot of just really uncomfortable, weird reasons.
It's so fucking choice.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it inspired a lot of Joker.
It's absolutely. I mean, like Robert De Niro.
But this seems a lot less dire than that movie. This is a lot more like funny moment to moment, I think.
Yeah, Robert De Niro actually is a talk show host in the Joker movie based on
that's so funny.
His performance as Rupert Pumpkin in The King of Comedy. So like that like they fully acknowledge that the Joker movie is basically just a note for note ripoff of The King of Comedy. He's just taken to a bigger extreme. And then I think the coup de grace of the 4 movies that we've been through. We got John through Cape Fear on Friday.
Fuck yes.
One of the most fantastic thrillers you will ever see in your life. It
was so fun. Just like platonic ideal of like a fun thriller.
Yeah. And again, Robert De Niro in another role here, just completely divorced from everything else that he's done. Now he's just like this backwoods hick that got really smart while he was in prison. And the level of sinister and gross and skin crawling that he is able to portray in this film, it's just like there are scenes where you will like your skin, you will feel it crawling off of your bones with how fucking just dire and awful of a person this man is.
Absolutely. It's a lot.
He is a fantastic antagonist for a thriller. It's just so absolutely terrifying.
And I feel like all those movies are also like really different stylistically.
Yeah, like that's what I've liked the most is like we didn't just kind of like go down the list of like, oh, here's Taxi Driver, here's Raging Bull, here's Goodfellas, here's Casino. No, we get like take the scenic route. Look at this, look at the cool stuff off the beaten path a little bit. Like King of Comedy, I don't ever see that one brought up very much, and it's one of my favorites.
But it was so good.
Yeah.
Like that's honestly probably my favorite of the bunch right now.
Yeah, I think that one's probably the strongest one for me right now. Yeah. Taxi Driver is on the list. I do believe we're gonna maybe watch that after Silence, which I don't think either. I've never seen Silence, so that's gonna be a new one for me. But yeah, we're gonna watch Silence next.
I'm here for. This is just a thing with me. I fucking love like really good religious martyrdom stories.
Oh yeah.
Like I really liked Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah.
I'm like once a year I get really obsessed with Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
I had that entire Joan of Arc binge like 3 years ago. Or watched like 3 movies about her and read a textbook about her. It's like, and Silence is just that. It's like one of the like religious martyrdom stories out there, and it's Scorsese. I feel like Scorsese's like perspective with religious stuff is very interesting and kind of useful. Like you get a lot of that, and you obviously get a lot of that in Last Temptation of Christ.
Oh yeah,
you get a lot of that in Cape Fear.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I'm very excited for where Silence goes. Hugo. Psychic Ice mentions Hugo and Wolf on Wall Street is one of the.
Yeah, Wolf on Wall Street's incredible.
One of the ones I've seen are some of the, and Shutter Island. Those are some of the ones I actually have seen. All fun, are all very fun. Wolf of Wall Street is very good.
Oh yeah, it's so gross.
I saw that one twice.
Yeah. But yeah,
that's him again, just making a full gross character.
Yeah,
just having so much fun with it.
There's nothing that'll make me happier than seeing somebody just play and write a gross, just awful human being trash disaster of a person, and it just being amazing. Gangs of New York. There you go. We have so much to go, John.
I know. I feel like we'll just keep watching them, and then we can bring up like after the next block of 4, bring them up on here.
Yeah, I just thought that like we'd watched 4. That felt like a good time to kind of like let's bring it up. Let's see where we're at. So yeah, next time we watch a few more, and when we get a few more in the bin, we'll do a check in. But yeah, going through this like again, my favorite director of all time. So I'm just here for it. And I've seen most of these movies anyway, but Silence is going to be new for me. It's going to be new, and I'm already kind of preparing myself. Like, all right, let's just okay, here we go.
I remember at the start just being like, all right, I'm worried about the long run times, but let's hope for maybe because like at the start of the year, I was like not feeling like I could even watch movies basically, and that's just watching these with you and watching these anime movies with Cecile. I just feel like I'm exercising that whole kind of attention span a lot better for the first time in a while.
Yeah,
It's
like,
really nice.
I've not watched movies at all in probably 2 or 3 years. So
It's the pandemic.
And I don't watch
movies. Say that during the pandemic.
I don't tend to watch movies by myself because I think it's a little boring. And I just kind of like even if I'm not going to sit there talking with somebody the whole time, it's just nice to have somebody around to watch it with. So like that's kind of like okay. Like, so when John brought up the idea of like let's watch some Scorsese movies sometime, I'm like, well, I mean, sure, okay, I'll do it, sure, yeah. So we just roll like that, yeah. All right, but yeah, that was kind of like the
just two. There we go, two fucking stunning directors.
There you go.
Having a great time here.
That's my little like little side diversion, unplanned segment there. Yeah. We'll throw it over to Rhett. How you doing, Rhett?
Yeah. Hi. Hey. I'm here too. I'm at the same place as John was at the start of the year of 2-hour movie. I don't have that fucking attention span. Maybe I'll get there again someday.
You will. I believe in you.
It's like watching like 5 episodes of anime.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't watch 5 episodes of anime in a row.
Oh.
It's like it's very specifically like I only have to commit to 23 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And like, and then I can look at Twitter and bail or keep going.
Right.
Like you have those exit points.
Yeah, I usually will like block like, all right, we're halfway through. Let's take like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Chill out for a minute, eat, maybe munch on something, and then hop back in. Although we did not do that with Cape Fear.
No, you can't stop. You can't stop that. That movie is such a thriller, and you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. I was just like, I hope we don't take a break during the middle of this because I think it would mess with the vibe a little bit.
Yeah,
but yeah, like we
I did not need one.
Yeah, like that one was just like, yeah, we're going.
Yeah, right.
So, I have done it.
Yeah.
I have finished Elden Ring.
Oh, baby, here we go. Finally, it happened. The impossible is made possible only by his hands.
I mean, other people have beaten this game. It is a very long game.
It sounds exhaustively long.
It's weird because it's like leveling doesn't matter as much in the other games because you get kind of less of an effect.
Yeah.
There's less main required bosses than I think any of the other games, except maybe Bloodborne, which is also pretty short.
I mean, people are beating this game in 7 minutes.
Well, okay. I did watch that. Was it 7 minutes?
Yeah, it's 7 minutes.
I think when I watched it, it was only sub 10. But that is zipping using exploits that don't work anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that's shitty. That's shitty. It's not like a bad ending or something that you can get into. Oh, okay. It's just like, yeah. Okay.
The one I watched was like about 10 minutes long, and they zipped all over. They intentionally crashed the game a couple times. They used a pre-patch version for like a weapon that got nerfed afterwards.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they did fight one boss, not the last boss, ironically. So it was like, okay, this is I get the speedruns will do anything that it takes to win, like, Ocarina of Time or Mario 3, where they just literally warp to the end. I
got no problem with those kinds of speedruns. I just think that they're not very interesting.
I just felt that this was not actually representative. You can beat Elden Ring in 7 minutes. Yeah. I also heard of one that's like beating the game in an hour. I'm more interested in that because I think that might be legit.
Yeah, because now you're actually hopefully interacting with the game at some point.
There is one of the zips in the speedrunner was crazy because it was like, we're going to get to the fog door for the last boss, then zip away from it because getting close to the door loads it in,
right?
So then you zip away from it into the void and fall to your death, but the final boss will fall and die sooner than you.
That's very stupid.
So as soon as you respawn at the thing that ends the game.
That's very stupid.
It's crazy people find this stuff so quickly after like a month and a half.
Elden Ring is like the game that like speedrunners, like day one, they were already just looking for shit. They were looking for seams that like, there were people that were playing that game not with the intent of finishing it, but just finding shit. So that's not surprising because they knew that was going to be a big speed game going forward. And like, like the day that game launched, people were like, they were just running into walls, grinding against walls, trying to jump through things and they weren't even trying to finish the game. So
so the speedrun thing ended up being like, stand with 1 foot on your ledge on 1 foot on a rock, two-hand the katana and like spam block, and that'll somehow occasionally zip you forward like a billion miles away. I saw a thing of people like using a metronome to get the timing right, because it's like you have to like block like several times in a row, frame perfect or something. It again, it's a legit speed run. It's not how people actually play Elden Ring.
No.
Yeah.
But you played Elden Ring.
Yeah.
In all its normal glory. How'd you come away from it?
I came away from it feeling fucking great.
Oh, well, there you go. It all came together. This is what I was hoping for, because everybody I had talked to had been like, the end game is trash.
I legitimately don't understand that, because like there are a few moments where you get to the end of a dungeon, you fight a boss you've seen before again, and you go, oh, really? Like, there's one in particular that I saw a bunch of people bitching about, where it's just like, you see what you thought was this big major story boss show up at the end of a mine, and it's that one in particular is pretty deflating. Especially because like in the final kind of big open world area, the mine I found there and the cave I found there had unique looks to them. Like they retextured the whole thing to fit the area you're in, and that was really cool. It was like, oh, I'm exploring this really pretty area, and it looks different than every other cave in the game. And then you fight another one of them at the end.
Yay!
Except it has one new magic attack this time that it might not use, and it's just otherwise the exact same fight. So I mean, there are definitely aspects where this game spreads itself too thin in terms of content. Like not every boss gets reused, but almost all of them get reused at some point. Like I think there's basically a Margit reskin towards the end, which is kind of like weird. Like, oh, now it spams way more knives.
Oh, good. Okay.
Margit is like the first main story boss that most people fight.
Yeah, that's the boss that I hear the most about,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. But overall, like, if you're looking for Dark Souls in this, which I think a lot of people were, this game ends with like, one of them is optional, and I happen to find them both at the same time. There's just these two massive like Demon Souls levels right at the end.
Awesome.
And they're just so good.
Yes.
So good. I was just like, oh, they're ending on, for me, the highest high possible of just having this one. And again, I've seen people, oh, it's too easy to fall to your death here. I like spent like half an hour on this first area just because I was trying to get every item, even though you could just kind of run to the end, having such a great time dying constantly. Because when I first got there, I was like, oh, these enemies ain't shit. But then the area you're fighting in is just, and if you take one step to the left, you die. Because you're fighting on the branches of this giant tree at the top.
Oh, that's perilous.
Yeah, it's very perilous. You fall to your death a lot. It's very funny.
Good.
It's just such a Souls ass level.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then so there's that place which does have one motherfucker of a boss at the end, the optional super boss that people are also bitching about. I'll say I don't feel I broke the game, but I used all available tools to win, except for summoning other players. But of course, you use that mimic tier because this game feels a little impossible without that mimic tier, even post nerf. I think I did see the difficulty discourse around this game get kind of shitty in the last couple of weeks. But it's weird where it's not like, with Metroid, it was like, this game is too hard. And this time it's coming from the other end. It's Souls veterans being like,
this game is too easy.
Summoning makes this too easy. I am artificially handicapping myself and not using summons, and now it's too hard again. Like, I feel like Souls has always been about doing everything you can to win.
It's about persevering no matter what. Yeah. That's kind of how I've always approached the Souls games.
Because literally everything you do is in the effort, is to the goal of making it easier.
Yeah.
You level up, you upgrade your weapons, you get new armor, you learn and get better at the game. That's,
and then you do challenge, and then you do challenge runs like once you're already familiar with it and you're ready to start.
Once you're good at it,
yeah.
I can see the discourse around summons being like, I don't like that they bounced around it, because a lot of the bosses do feel really difficult, and it is very different from how Souls games tend to go.
Yeah, like I understand like being a little upset that summoning is like, you have to do it because the game accounts for it. I understand that being kind of crappy. I get that.
But it's when people are like refusing to summon and then
holding that against the game. Like, you're trying to make the game into something that it wasn't made for. You are trying to literally Faerun this game in the way that I fucked around with Faerun and got mad at it for not being what I wanted it to be.
Because this game is not Dark Souls 4.
No.
Even though I kind of feel this game is Dark Souls 4. I feel like, because I remember when Bloodborne came out, people were trying to draw that at, like, Bloodborne came out and people didn't like Dark Souls 2, so people were trying to skip Dark Souls 2 as, that's the one Miyazaki didn't work on.
Right.
The real trilogy is Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne.
And Bloodborne, yeah.
And that never felt right to me, but I think now, if you look at the overall scope of these games, that you can make a pretty conclusive argument for Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Elden Ring. Because the thing that Dark Souls did from Demons is they connected all the levels.
Yeah.
They said it's not, a hub and a teleporter. It's one big world now.
Yeah.
And Elden Ring takes that idea of it's one big world and goes...
What if it's bigger?
Goes so immensely big with it. Like... I think this game is weird because I think if you compare it to the other games on any individual aspect, it loses. Like, except for maybe like the last few levels, I think are easily on par with the best parts of Dark or Demons.
Nice.
But like the bosses probably aren't as good, and they're kind of bounced around summons,
Yeah.
Like, but it's hard. It's just the overall... everything of it comes together in such a way for me where I think it's so good. Like,
awesome.
Yeah, like I'm so happy that this turned around, because for the longest time I felt like you were real kind of mid on it. And I wasn't sure how that end game.
About it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how that end game was going to treat you, since literally everybody I knew hated it. But the fact that it like turned around.
I started having a lot more fun when it got annoyingly hard, so I'm just kind of a sicko.
Nice.
I loved the last few levels, and then I loved the last few bosses because I just summoned for them and kind of crushed through.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird because the arc of these games is always kind of, I don't know what I'm saying here. Is restart that sense of thought. Souls is about, leveling up and getting stronger to me. So crushing through the end game where you're literally like fighting gods felt like thematically appropriate to me, where it's like I am as extremely powerful as these demigods are in the story, where it's like it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just this level 1 undead fighting Gwyn or something.
Yeah,
like there's a moment towards the end, and this is something that very specifically kind of only happened to me. I'm trying to how to word it. There was a place I wanted to go, and I didn't know how to get there because there's teleporters in certain places. So then I looked it up. And I was like, oh, you go back to this one location right at the start of the game, and there's a teleporter there, and that teleports you somewhere else to a teleporter that wasn't active at the time. Okay. So I'm basically, the long story short is that I went back to the start of the game and just had this like nostalgia hit me in a weird way of like, I can't believe the journey of this game that had started here when I'm fighting, in these green kind of toxic green fields, fighting these shitty, decrepit knights. And then just the way I have grown as a player and the character has grown into, this towering power wielding 2 blasphemous great swords of like slaying the demigods that hold this land captive. It was just such a funny like moment of like reflection, and then that was like right before the final boss for me, and it just felt really perfect.
That's cool as shit.
the game does end with like 5 bosses in a row. Like I kept seeing names and being like, why are there so many boss names left? And then it's just practically one after the other.
Oh, geez. They just roll that shit out, huh? Conveyor belt bosses.
Kind of like the final like true area has 2 bosses and one of them's optional. And then like at the very end, there's a boss. And then, I guess there's more than I thought. There's like final thing is like boss, and then a 2-form boss.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they just did the Zelda thing and let you use... Actually, I haven't checked that they don't, but I'm pretty sure you can't use the horse for the final boss. Because it is a real motherfucker on Melee when you have to chase after it, because it's big and you have to run a lot. I thought using the horse would be really fun there. Because for the last boss of Zelda, they let you use the horse.
Of course.
Or the motorcycle if you did the
Yeah,
DLC.
baby!
I spent the stupid time with that game too. That was so funny.
I think you chase with the horse in Twilight Princess too.
Yeah,
The Twilight Princess one was so like...
Twilight Princess does some decent horse stuff. It's okay. It's not great.
I just remember the final boss of Twilight Princess trying to be like, we're doing the last boss of Ocarina, we're doing the last boss of Wind Waker, and we're doing the horse final boss. Like, make up your mind on what climax you wanted to go for here, because you fight Ganon like 3 times.
What if it's everything?
Pretty much.
You wanted to fight Zant? How about you fight Ganon 3 times?
Yeah.
I still gotta send somebody my save file so they can get me past the sumo game though. I fucking hate the sumo game. I hate it. I hate it.
Probably been like 15 years. Give it up.
It's been yeah. You know what? I'm probably never gonna play that game, am I?
They fucking remastered that game by now already on the Wii U.
And I bet the sumo game still sucks.
True. Might be easier to send your save file.
All right, I'll send it over to Jetstorm. He'll do it for me. I will actually pay $12 shipping to do this.
It would be very funny.
Just get me out of this hell that is. I don't know why I can't do it. I'm so bad at video games. Why do I play video games?
It's fun to be bad at video games sometimes.
Tom will even stream it. There you go.
That would be great.
Perfect.
So yeah, Elden Ring. Let's wrap it up.
This asshole's gonna stream fucking Twilight Princess to spite me now. I just know it. Yes, Elden Ring.
Sorry.
No, it's me. I sidetracked there. My bad.
Just that this is not the Souls-like experience I would recommend to you two. That would still be Bloodborne, because that is like, to me, the tightest action game they've made. Because I don't like Sekiro that much.
What I'm planning to play.
But like, for me, who already plays games like Skyrim or Witcher 3 or Breath of the Wild, the combination of open world but Souls, I feel like so many times, they just made this for me specifically.
Oh, well, there you go. Awesome. That feels good.
Just the scope of the world, the sense of adventure, it really did all come together for me at the end. I had a great time.
That's so fucking cool.
I wanted to end positively because I felt like I was kind of negative on it the other 2 times.
I just kept holding. I was like, please, I didn't want it to suck. I didn't want it to be a bad experience for you having because again, like you said, like when I heard like open world Dark Souls, it's just like, there's no reason Rhett's not gonna like that. Like, this sounds like Rhett's jam.
I remember you guys looking at footage of the horse and being like, I don't get it. This doesn't seem for me. I watched literally like 2 seconds, closed it and pre-ordered it.
Like, we're done. We're in, baby.
I went in to this so blind. Like, I had seen about 2 seconds of footage and went, fucking, yep, let's go.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Like, I think the way to describe this would be like, it's Demon Souls, but it takes you like 2 hours to get to 1-1.
That's cool. That's cool.
Because you have to make every journey between the levels on foot or on horse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Cool. So I guess.
All right, that rolls right. Thanks for sharing that.
All right, so is that break or?
Yeah.
All right, we're
Yeah.
gonna take a 5-minute break, and we will be right back. noise. Fart noise. There we go.
Fart or die.
Oh, get him! Get him! Has anybody got a hold of Chuck D yet? Hey, Rhett.
Yeah.
What's your favorite solo Wu-Tang album?
Oh no.
Wait a minute. You should know. You told us the last time we were here. What's your favorite one was? It had a cool name and
Yeah,
everything.
what's your favorite? No, my favorite one.
Yeah. Frantically typing Wu-Tang.
Was it Liquid Swords?
Yep.
Was it? Yeah. Oh,
There we go. John remembered Rhett's favorite. John remembered. It's a good thing John remembered Rhett's favorite solo Wu-Tang album.
I fucked up. Liquid Swords?
Yep.
Is it sword or swords?
Swords.
Okay.
Yeah.
Multiple Swords is cooler.
Multiple. Yeah, it's way cooler.
True.
Yeah. Poncho Smith's not wrong. Supreme Clientele's pretty good too. Like that's kind of the holy trinity is Liquid Swords, only built for Cuban links, and Supreme Clientele. Like, there you go. Either of those three you can't go wrong with. Right.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. How's everybody doing? How y'all doing?
I'm doing well.
You doing well? Doing well. How about you, Rhett? Are you doing well?
Doing great.
Doing great.
I'm doing even better because we're about to have the Poly segment.
Oh, we're gonna have a me segment? What?
Absolutely.
No, me. I can have one. I get my own
Yeah, we'll allow
segment.
it.
You'll let me have one for one?
Wait. You're
What?
getting two now?
I'm getting. Uh-oh. Getting too big for my pants now. That's why I got a skirt. Oh. That's a dumb joke.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Made no damn sense at all. Because the waistband would still be the same size. You keep explaining the joke, Polly. It's funnier that way.
It is.
Always.
I mean, I'm having the opposite issue. I'm too small for my pants now.
I'm proud of you, motherfucker. I want everybody to give it up for my pal Red. He's put in a lot of work for self-improvement over the last 6 months or so, and dude deserves big fucking round of applause. Yeah. Just fucking killing it out here. Proud of you, dude. Proud of you.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
From the bottom of my fucking heart, I mean that too.
When you said actor gained 60 pounds, that scared me so much. Like
I can imagine, like
having more reference now for how much that is. Like, holy fuck, what? Why would no?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but when you were in Hollywood and you got the kind of trainers and shit that Robert De Niro has access to, like, yeah, guarantee he was able to knock that off. But also, oh no, training and exercise, fuck that too. Oh no, we cannot. We're not having that. We're just gonna do it with good diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're killing it, man. You're gonna have to write a book on the diet you're doing because Jesus Christ.
I have to contact Crony and get her to actually say just eat less.
Yeah. So just send a red super chat, Rhett. That's all you got to do.
Honestly, to God, I've thought about it.
What, for this specific purpose?
Well, just like I'm not actually going to do it, but I thought I've seen some pretty like stupid super chats from people.
Yeah.
If somebody sent a super chat saying like, "Hey, you inspired me to lose 50 pounds," they think that was pretty cool. I think.
I would think so. Yeah.
But it's also funny when it's in the context of
just eat
using
less.
something you didn't actually say. You just eat less.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that idea did cross my mind.
I mean, it's pretty funny. I would give it up for you for that. And if that's what inspired you to get your shit together and then start making positive changes, who's to argue, right?
Yeah.
Like who cares what inspires you to make changes to better yourself, so long as you stick to doing that. So yeah, again, something to be very proud of, and I'm fucking proud of you. So
she does have a very like matter-of-fact way of saying some things like, if you're playing a horror game, just don't be scared.
Just don't be scared.
It's easy. Just don't be scared. You want to go on a diet? Just eat less. Like she would say something like that. She is
very, I just kind of love the way she deadpans everything. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
How do we feel about visual novels on the Sockscast? Do we like those?
I like them.
I think pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. Visual novels are pretty good because I did read one. One. Yeah, I read one. I read Robotics Notes Elite.
Oh, yes.
This is a sort of a remastered version of the original Robotics Notes that kind of basically fixes some pacing issues I think that the original had, and adds a little bit more production to it. Like they added some anime cutscenes here and there, and kind of. I think it's like the Steins Gate Elite, where because Steins Gate Elite, like they just remade the entire visual novel with the anime. Like they just, it's really interesting, and I'm interested in checking out that version. I own it, so, but yeah, but they didn't do that with this. This is still like that original game with its original presentation. It's just they inserted some scenes from the anime into it. Cool. But anyway, for those that don't know, Robotics Notes is a visual novel in what is known as the Science Adventure series, which I think is primarily probably known for Steins Gate.
Yeah.
But it's pretty damn expansive at this point. Like there are a lot of games in the Science Adventure. There's like Chaos Child, Chaos Head, Steins Gate, Robotics Notes Dash. There's a lot going on.
I was looking it up. I think Robotics Note is actually like technically a spin-off from the main line.
Mm-hmm. No, like that's Robotics Notes Dash, I think. It's
easy to keep track of.
It's but the thing is, don't let that semicolon scare you. Like you don't need to have experienced like Chaos Head or Chaos Child or Steins Gate to enjoy this. You'll get some references, but they're not required for what this story's doing. So just don't let that. Don't let that scare you off if you're looking at giving this a go. But basically, like the Science Adventure series is basically like these stories that take a lot of real world hard science and psychology, and they twist them up with a good bit of like fun pseudoscience to make these really just meaty, over the top stories with big stakes that manage to feel both like absurd but also grounded and believable because they're so entrenched with all of that real world science going into it. So everything feels really credible. It's like the idea in Steins Gate that they made a time machine using a fucking microwave. It's stupid as fuck, but then before they reveal that, they go through all of this science to justify it that's interspersed with all this pseudoscience, and that's how you get games in this series. And I think that it like works really well. I think the Zero Escape is also a really good touchstone for that kind of thing too, where there's a lot of real world psychology and science in those games, but they kind of mix in some bullshit in there to make it a little nicer, a little more easier to digest, to make
a little more fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's all in the name of fun. But I think the science is like a real core, like it's a real passion for why these series of games exist. I think is because it feels like the people behind them are really actually interested in the hard science and wanted to do fun things with it. So what is Robotics Notes in this story then? Robotics Notes is a story about a couple of high school students who are childhood friends that are looking to continue the work of the robotics club at their high school. And throughout most of the game, we see this story through the main character, Kaito, who he's this kind of aloof dude that just kind of wants to play video games and doesn't really have all that much of an interest in robotics himself. He actually just doesn't care, to the point to where it's almost annoying because of how far they're going to show how much this guy just doesn't give a single shit about all the stuff that his friend is working hard for. And it's just like okay, you're overdoing it a little, but maybe there's something here. But the reason he's sticking to it, the reason he's there, is because he made a promise to the other character's sister that he would look after her when she left to go, be an adult, basically. And since he kind of this older sister figure was sort of like his first crush, it's just like your first love growing up is just, it's a very cute thing of just like, it's never going to happen. So, you kind of learning to let that go and all that fun stuff. So, and then his co-protagonist is Akiho, and she is the driving force behind the story. Just a ball of energy that just so bright and energetic and so much excitement for achieving her dreams that it's very infectious. She's just right out the gate such a charming and amazing character to kind of bounce off of this guy that's just kind of like, dude, like, You're such a drag. Why are you like this when you have somebody this bright in your life right now? But she's very gung-ho about robots, and her dream is to build a giant robot like one from her favorite anime. And it goes twofold for her too, because like this is like a dream that started a number of years ago by her sister, who she started the robotics club and started building the giant robot, but she graduated without ever having finished it. So for Akiho, it's like, in a way, it's this pursuing this giant robot dream is, you know, helping her fulfill one of her own dreams, but it's also a means to reconnect with her sister, who she's become estranged from since her sister left. She just doesn't keep in contact with anybody anymore for some reason, and it's very distant. It's very cold. Any interactions that they have, like, she most of the time is just ignored. Like, she constantly is like mailing her sister or sending her text messages. Like every little thing,
so sad.
And like every little thing that she accomplishes, you know, in the field of robotics, and like everything she's learning, and like she never gets a reply back or anything.
Oof.
But like they make it a point that like she's always doing everything she can. She's like, you know, keeping your dream alive. I'm doing this for you, which makes her story, you know, just like a real interesting now. It's because it's just like, well, who are you doing this for then? You know, and I think that paints a real cool, interesting arc for her character to have to overcome. And the story kind of just follows this very straightforward path for a while of like events that like lead toward having a fuller cast. Like, you know, you've seen the trope 100 times before in anime where it's like, oh man, our club doesn't have enough members, so they're gonna shut us down.
Oh God.
You know, so like that's the thing. It's like, you know, Sakaito, like he doesn't want Akiho to lose her club. Like he, you know, I don't care about robots. I don't want her to lose her club. You know, so he ends up kind of being the one that has to sort of drive recruitment to pull in, you know, another person so they can officially call themselves a club. And the story really settles into this really slice of life rhythm for a while. Like after sort of the first major conflict where, you know, they build a tiny hobby robot and they take it to a tournament and they almost win, but that's enough for them to like get a bunch of money to sort of get their club sponsored so they can keep doing, like, working towards this bigger dream of building a fucking giant robot on the campus of a high school. Very realistic and grounded, mind you. But you get a lot of these, you know, like you're getting the club established, and we just kind of like hang out and live with these characters for a while as they build towards their goal of building a giant robot on campus, and then that's fun. And there's this believable arc that sort of happens where we've pulled in enough members from the outside, you know, like big people have sort of heard what we're into now, and they're like, wait a minute, like we're all of a sudden on the cusp of actually making the dream come true, and this group of dorks actually manage it. They do it. They successfully build a giant robot, get it up and walking, and it's just like and it's a gigantic flop because people wanted the big giant robot to do more than just fucking walk. So it's just like, that's all it does. It took a couple of steps, but like, you know, so like you as the reader understand that this is like a really big accomplishment. They build a fucking hunk of machine that is taller than a building that can fucking take a step. That's incredible. It's as crazy as building a time machine out of a microwave. And like the real meat, like you find once they get the giant robot going, like that's when the real meat of the story, I feel like, comes after that, where it's kind of like, well, now what? Like, for instance, Akiho, you know, like she wanted to do this big thing as a means of reconnecting with her sister, you know, but despite that being her dream, it's not really how things turned out. So where does she go from here? Like, and this is sort of like where the story really started grabbing me, because it's the point where we dive into these characters' individual storylines, and they're confronted with either having their dreams taken away, or having to find a new purpose, or having to find new ways to pursue their dreams and find fulfillment. And the way these stories unravel feels like the most important part of what this game is trying to say and do. And it's at this point, like around the halfway mark, where the visual novel decides it needs to be a visual novel, and routes become a thing. So, and I have to kind of talk about this in two ways, I think. Like, there's the mechanical way routes work and how they're implemented and how the narrative handles it. So I'll hit it like the narratively, I'll handle that first, since I think that that's the most exciting part of this game. Is that I loved the routes to bits. The characters, like, were already, like, super easy to come and enjoy. But the way you come to know them through the very personal issues they have to overcome, and how Kaito has to become a part of that, helps make the cast feel like this really warm and loving found family in a way. And they play a really neat trick with Kaito's character, I think. You know, like, he's the aloofish standoff, like, I don't care about any of this sort of main character. But the ways in which, like, he finds himself being pulled in to help everybody around him who are hurting sort of pushes him toward having to be more open and vulnerable again. So his involvement in the climax of the story feels like something that he earned, and you want him to, like, finally overcome, like, this shadow of him and Akiho's past that kind of buried him as a person. And it, like, that, like, watching that kind of, like, open up over the course of these chapters where everybody else is having their problems solved, but they in turn are giving him something back, was just really touching, like, back to back, like, as each one of these kind of, like, it rolls them out, like, back to back, and it's a little contrived at how they all kind of fall into place back to back the way that they do, but it's all very touching. Like, all of the stories are very well done. The things that the characters need to come to terms with are very believable and grounded and just natural. Like, yeah, I understand why this
running theme this up.
Yeah, isn't it? and it's like, yeah, like it's a story where I feel like the individual pieces of the story feel maybe a bit more important than the big sci-fi thing going on in the background. And that stuff is really good too. Like, but for me, I think I just really loved this game's cast of characters by the end. And it gave me everything I wanted with the big sci-fi payoffs too. So, like, I got both of them. I just kind of feel that, like, those personal stories, those mattered way more to me than, like, the bit, like, you know, it's a science adventure thing, so the shit's gonna go down at some point.
I was wondering about that, because Steins Gate definitely has a
moment where
swerve.
Things take a fucking turn, and yeah. Robotics Notes is by no means as dark or dire.
I figured, yeah.
It's much more lighthearted in that. There's still, like, big moments of, oh, this is real bad, and I'm gonna cry that this is happening. But yeah, like in terms of everything of that nature, just the way everything kind of pays off is really well done. Like, start to finish, the story just really nails what it's going for. All these characters end up where they need to be by the end, and it just feels really nice. So yeah, like, no complaints there.
That's awesome.
Mechanically, it's kind of the visual novel bullshit feels entirely unnecessary in this game, since all the routes are canon.
Another recurring theme with the in the VN sections.
Yeah.
Segments. I feel like we come across, you kind of
this is entirely different though, because, like, this game has alternate endings, but, like, they're not really endings. They're just continuations of the story. Like, the game happens over the course of, like, a year or so. So, like, when you do one character's route, their route takes place in October, and then this one takes place in August. So it's just like, you're not really getting different endings. You're just jumping around the timeline when you start. Because the game is structured in a linear fashion. So all the stories are just chronological. Which means the only thing that changes when you choose a route is where you jump on the calendar. So I really feel that, like, I honestly feel you should just use a guide and follow the story routes in chronological order, because, like, after I did that, like it all comes down to, like, understanding, like, oh, there is one day of the of this entire game storyline where, like, the choice you make determines what route you're on. Just make, like, a save there, and then, like, just take the one that jumps you to the month after the one you just did. But basically, it uses a system similar to Steins Gate, where you reply to certain social media messages in certain ways to initiate the route change. And it's really weird and obtuse at first, but once you figure out like that your choices only matter on that one specific day, and the reply you need to make that usually triggers the route, it's a lot more obvious once you've done a couple of them. But again, like just look up a route order just to kind of play
or
it.
ask Polly if you
or
play
ask
it.
me. I'll tell you what the proper order is.
That's my plan.
Yeah, there you go. But overall, just I fucking loved Robotics Notes a lot. Like it's a much more lighthearted experience than Steins Gate, like I said. It's slower and more slice of lifey. Like it doesn't ever get dire to the point of where Steins Gate's characters are put through the fucking ringer in ways that are oofa doofa.
Yeah.
But there's still enough meat here for things to feel really emotionally gripping when they need to. It was a really pleasant experience that I really
you really burned through it. I remember you being like a lot of good updates.
Yeah, I think I went through this in like 3 or 4 days. Like I got through it pretty fast. But like in like the opening hours, I wasn't entirely sure because I thought like when you had to go like to the tournament at the start, I was like, oh no, is this going to be like a tournament battler kind of anime thing where it's just like, oh, we're going to build robots and go do tournament fights and that's going to be the thing. I was like, oh God, please don't do that. I would never make it through this. There's a fucking entire route in Steins Gate that is like a card game tournament that literally turned me to stone.
Oh God.
Apparently they nixed that entirely in Steins Gate Elite.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they nixed it entirely in the anime, so they couldn't have adapted that.
Like Ferris's route still exists in some kind of form, but it's not.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I get how
it's Ferris's route is all based on Rynet, and it was just like, I hate this and want to die. I love Ferris though; she's a great character.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this is a game that just lands everything it's trying to do. I couldn't have been happier with it. And if anything ever happens to Frau Kajiro, I will kill everybody in this call and then myself. Frau is amazing. I will protect her with my life. She's a fucking basket case, but I love her to pieces.
Excellent.
She's a big old pervert. You gotta love the big old. You gotta love the big socially awkward perverts.
Do ya?
I think sometimes you do.
I guess it's fine when they're a girl.
There you go. Maybe it's not all right in all cases. Okay, like I would consider myself a socially awkward pervert to a degree, and I think it's safe to love me.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
11%.
Absolutely. Like, Robotics Notes is fantastic. Like, if you like Steins Gate and you want something that's still kind of got that scientific bent to it, but is still doing, enough surreal and absurd things to make a story interesting, and you don't mind it moving a little slow, because like I said, there's a lot of slice of life in this that didn't particularly bother me because I just really liked getting to know these characters a lot and seeing them all come together. So yeah, Robotics Notes Elite. You can get this with Robotics Notes Dash, I believe, still too. I think that's still a bundle. I think I'm gonna skip on Dash though because read a lot about it and I was not pleased with the fact that Daru from Steins Gate is the main character, and I fucking hate Daru.
Curses.
Yeah, and he's a character that is literally like a character that talks about having a daughter and taking a bath with her while simultaneously getting a chub on. And it's very disturbing. It's like, dude, and like they're trying to play that shit for laughs, but even in Steins Gate, there are people around to shut him the fuck up. There are strong characters that are just like, dude, shut the fuck up. And with him being the protagonist of this other Robotics Notes game, it's just like, I have no fucking interest in being in that character's head. I will read out if they're like, as far as I've read as well, like most of the routes in it are bad anyway. There's only like one or two good stories, so I'm just gonna like spoil myself on what I'm missing, and like if any of that ties into the other greater science adventure games, we'll find out at some point. I know that like Chaos Head Noah is getting a re-release on Switch later this year with Chaos Child, so probably looking to get into those next at some point. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah, this was a great experience, one that I just kind of like taken a little aback by how good it was. I don't know why I was, but I just kind of like was like, well, maybe is it gonna be as good as Steins Gate? And seeing that it's a story about like a main character working their way to be out of someone's shadow, you almost feel like this game's doing that too, of trying to get out of the shadow of Steins Gate in a way, right?
That's neat.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just enjoyed this thoroughly. Really, really good.
Cool.
Really good DM. John! What else did you do?
One more time?
What else did you do, John?
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. I had a crisis when I finished Xenosaga, and I was like,
Wait, does your PC run Crisis?
My PC does run Crisis.
Okay.
I had a crisis where I finished Xenosaga episode 1, and then of course, immediately wanted to start up Xenosaga episode 2, like you do. Anytime you finish a good RPG, especially one that's serial, you're like, well, pick up the next one. I want to pour some milk on that cereal. I want to pour some milk on that cereal and go to town on it.
Hell yeah.
But I knew that wasn't a good idea.
No.
Especially with Xenosaga episode 2, which is the one that everybody doesn't like.
Yeah, it's
favorite.
Yeah, like that.
I got as far as loading it up and loading up the title screen and watching the title screen.
It's a real good title screen. It's a real
pretty.
Great title screen. That opening theme is, it's hauntingly good.
It has music on the title screen.
Yeah.
That is a change from Xenosaga episode 1.
Yeah.
Xenosaga episode 1 does not have music on the title screen, and it does not have an attract mode intro whatsoever. It is just the logo on a white background with no music. It is, and there's nothing else. It's so funny.
Yep. Like all of this big spectacle game and like the most understated title screen ever.
It feels representative of a lot of that game's style.
Oh, absolutely.
It's great.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something where it's like, I want to do something that is very far removed from this. So but it still be an RPG. Because what else am I going to fucking do?
Exactly.
Not play an RPG?
Not play an RPG.
That doesn't make any fucking sense.
That's the height of folly.
Absolutely. So I wanted something short. I wanted something probably like an action-y RPG where fighting things is very quick and fun. And I wanted something kind of distant from like anime aesthetics, I think. So I was like, all that. And I don't remember the thought process here, but I wound up deciding that I wanted to play Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance for the PlayStation 2.
That's a pull for sure.
I remember being kind of delighted at the time because it felt like such a random fucking pull.
Yeah.
But I was looking at footage and I was like, yes, I want to play this more than anything.
That's where I want to be right now.
Have you played Baldur's Gate?
No, I have not. This is not Baldur's Gate proper. This is not.
No.
This is like barely an RPG.
It's just like weird offshoot Walmart brand Baldur's Gate.
Is it Diablo for consoles?
Kind of, yeah.
It is whatever Baldur's Gate is. I'm sure that this is extremely dumbed down for consoles. Mm-hmm. This is the cliche comical. This is the comically on the nose cliche image of a PC franchise being dumbed down for consoles because it is very dumb. This is, you get dialogue options. None of them ever fucking do anything. And there's barely any dialogue. There's barely any writing. You like drop down in this hub and then it's like, go fight rats in this sewer for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
baby.
Let's fucking do it. Let's do it. This is what I'm here for. Yes. And I go down to the sewer and I kill things for an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. I level up and I get money and then I go back to the hub and I sell loot and I buy new equipment and then I kill rats slightly faster and I'm like, yes, this is what I want.
Treadmill works, baby.
Numbers going up.
Numbers go up.
Progress quest.
Fuck yeah. So I played it for like 8 hours that week and I beat the first act. And it has like this cool, there's like a whole villain they introduce like near the start of the act. And then they play out that whole thing. There's a twist reveal on the villain. You fight the boss. At a certain point, I realized, wow, the writing in this is really bad, huh? The villain like is talking to his peon and he says like, now be wary that if you fail me again, I will kill you and I'll do it very slowly. Oh, and then you beat the peon and they says, well, you still won't stand a chance against my master because he'll kill you and he'll do it very slowly. And the voice acting rolls over. And then you get to the boss and the boss introduces it. I'm going to kill you and I'm going to kill it very slowly. And then he fights you and he has an instant disintegration laser attack.
Fantastic. That's good. That's not what the fuck, video game? Are you kidding me?
I instantly got disintegrated. Just turned to ash.
That is the literal opposite of very slowly.
What the fuck?
Oh my god, I meant to use the poison spell.
Shit.
It's just like anytime this game has the chance to lean on like a dialogue cliche, it'll do it. The last act hub character is like a tribal savage who is a cliche stereotype. And it's the lizard people.
Of course.
Is that so just I will watch over you while your eyes are closed and the dreams come to you in the night, just like because he can't say sleep because he doesn't know English too well. And then he says like this really labored, stupid thing that uses way more words.
God.
And it's so cringy. It's so obnoxious and racist. Yeah. Also.
Yeah. Big racist. Yeah.
So this is like the most. So I had fun in that first act. Mm-hmm. And then you close out like all the plot threads, and then it's like, okay, now you need to go here. And then it's just like Act 2, and it just starts completely over. No intrigue set up. It's just new episode. And I'm like, okay. And then I play it for like several more hours, and I'm like, okay, I figured out that I can hold up the shield to block, and then slice, and then block, and then slice, and then block, and then slice, and then I don't take any damage. And I'm just like walking through these mazes, very laboriously emptying them out of enemies. And the writing's still really bad. And I'm like, I'm starting to think that I kind of got everything I wanted out of that first act of 3.
Yeah. Oh God, that's
and I'm looking at a long play, and I'm seeing like exactly how far along I am. And for some reason, the long player is taking much less time to clear out these mazes, and it's because they picked the magic class, which is a lot better than the archer. And I'm just like, okay. And then I put it down, and I was like, I'm going to play a different game.
Yeah, it's probably smart.
So I again, I don't know the exact thought process here, but I just was seized as by a spirit with the intense desire to play Planescape Torment, the widely beloved classic PCC RPG, which actually has a Switch port.
Well, why didn't you play Disco Elysium?
I wanted to play one with fighting, but I'd also had kind of my fill of a lot of fighting from Baldur's Gate, from Dark Alliance. So I was like, okay, Planescape is known for like, it's got a really, really good story and then kind of whatever fighting. And I was like, all right, I want to do Planescape. I need some brain cells back after Dark Alliance. So I played all of it in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I played all of it in like 10 days.
This was a very fun thing to watch.
Yeah, this is as good as any game I've ever played.
Oh,
it's the real shit.
Yeah, that good shit that they've been hiding from you.
it uses the Infinity engine, so it has that real time with pause CRPG combat.
Yeah.
That was really, really hard for me in Coder. I like rage quit the game halfway through and then came back to it because I was so pissed off. The second it got hard, I was just like, I can't do this. This is impossible. And then I realized like, oh, you just pause the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes and then make your decisions instead of just running up to the enemies and hoping for the best.
Yeah, that's not going to be how you win.
No. So I beat Coder and so I played Planescape Torment and I was like kind of basically like figured out the vibe like right away. Like, okay, I'm walking around. I'm familiar with this combat system. I'm exploring. I'm talking to people. The first chunk after the first kind of dungeon, the first chunk of the game is like a big town. It's like a big RPG town. You just get to walk around and talk to people and get quests. And the quests are just like, go talk to this other person and then we'll have a little story together. And I'm just wandering around this town talking to folks and figuring things out for like 5 hours. And I'm like, this is really fucking fun. The Hive is what it's called. Is that first town. It is like one of the grimiest, grittiest RPG towns I've ever been in. It feels like Midgar. Like it feels like that level.
Ooh, good vibe.
Just like wandering around and you just, it is a series of slums. And you feel there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of class stuff. There's a lot of interesting things there's a lot of weird metaphysics about the setting and you're just absorbing all of it from talking to all these NPCs and doing these quests. The premise, by the way, is that you wake up on a mortuary slab and after having been dragged in and pronounced dead.
Kind of like the opening of Shadow. It's kind of like the opening of Shadowrun on SNES.
It is like the opening of Shadowrun. I thought that was funny. And there's a talking skull next to you who's floating and yapping at you, and he's sarcastic and quippy. And then he's like, "Oh, you're still alive, huh?" And he says that you have tattoos on your back, and he reads them to you, and it says to go find your journal and talk to this one guy. And this came out like a year before Memento, which is really weird.
Yeah,
that seems so specific. And then that's your goal is you don't remember who you are. And your goal is to suss out your story and figure out who you are and then see where things go from there. Amnesia shit is like pretty played out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You see a lot of that just in the anime shit that we consume all the time.
Absolutely. This is much more nuanced here because it is basically a mystery about uncovering like what your past lives did. And a lot of it isn't great.
Yeah. I mean, I figured the name Torment is in the name probably for a reason.
This is not like, oh, I'm an amnesiac and it turns out I'm actually the destined hero. No, this is, I was a fucking scumbag, huh?
Oh boy.
And you find out pretty early that this character is immortal and he can't die.
Yeah.
Nobody knows why. And so you basically just following your own trail of slime across this awful city, finding people whose lives you've touched and generally made them much worse.
Made much worse.
In the very first area, you find the ghost of your dead girlfriend.
Oops.
And she's not happy with you.
Oh.
And they're like, oh, I don't know who you are. I'm sorry. And then later on, you find a sense stone, which has recorded a conversation between you and her. Like it's not like a bunch of diary entry, like literal diary things. This is kind of localized to this one setting, but you get to watch a conversation play out between your past self and her and your current self, just like kind of freaking out because you realize like how just being a really shitty manipulative person.
Yeah.
And it's some of the most like just that scene in particular, some of the most effective writing I've seen in an RPG.
That's dope.
Yeah. So this is in the Planescape setting, and the way that manifests is that there are like portals strewn throughout. So the whole first area is just like this big town that you explore, and it's very cool and kind of grounded. But like as the game progresses, you find these portals that lead elsewhere, and they're like but they're locked with these keys, and the key can be anything. A key can be like having a piece of lint in your pocket, or it can be thinking about a past regret as you walk through, or the key can be not wanting to go through the portal.
Oh, okay.
So the effect of it is that exploring the setting is also like kind of like unmooring.
Yeah.
Like as you are trying to pick up the pieces of your life and figure out who you are, it feels like the setting itself is like a kind of diseased brain you're running around and getting lost in. Like it's a very psychosis-y game.
I dig that.
Absolutely. And I can imagine folks like maybe finding it like kind of disturbing for that.
Good stories like those are the kind of the stories that you love, man. Like being in the head of somebody that's absolutely fucking terrible. I'm here for it.
It's fucking. It's that good VN shit.
Yeah.
And you know that RPGs don't get to do that good VN shit too often.
Not
when
often.
They do, it's real nice. It feels real good.
I mean that's a big reason why a lot of people what that fucking I'm an idiot. I forgot the name of it. There's an Xbox 360 game, Lost Odyssey. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It's got a bunch of really long visual novel moments in it.
Nier.
Nier does as well. Yeah, I can't remember the one on 360 now. The name of it just completely eludes me for some reason. But yeah, like it's very similar. It has a main character that can't die and is remembering shit. So wondering
the
now
360 RPGs I know are Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon.
Yeah,
and
okay. So
it doesn't sound like it's Blue Dragon.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so it's definitely Lost Odyssey. Yeah, like that game has a lot of visual novel shit in it, and I know a lot of people like that game for its nuance and character as well. So
cool.
Yeah, this is just like I was immediately I drew a lot of points of comparison with Trails Third.
Yeah. Another game that has that good VN shit.
Oh boy, yeah,
also that good VN shit, and
I thought
also
that's what I was probably going to say.
And also feels like walking around in a brain.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the differences here are that so all of your companions and all the companions are optional. You can leave behind anyone you want, and you can recruit whoever you want. So that kind of limits how they can impact the story. They still impact the story in some very strong ways.
Nice.
But it's very different from Trails Third in that this is very much focused on the nameless one's journey.
Yeah.
And that's also why it's 30 hours long instead of like 60.
Yeah.
But this is a lot more drilled down, focused on that than I think Trails Third focuses on Kevin.
Yeah.
I think that it is a lot happier to just kind of get into it. Because I feel like Trails Third is like, okay, we're going to spend like 10 hours just kind of putting all the pieces here so we can do a normal Falcom game, but make it about all this cool psychology stuff.
Yeah.
And this just kind of like jumps in.
Nice.
Kind of like I'm thinking about Xenogears and Final Fantasy VII, like how they do, how the Nibelheim stuff just comes in. And one more time, I feel like this is one more example of like a story about a shitty dude hurting people in his life. A lot of them women, and then feeling really, really bad about it.
Right.
I think how this story concludes makes me feel a little bit better about it than a lot of these. There's a level of responsibility here that I like. There also isn't any like kind of like Xenogears and Trails Third. Those turns are like very magic plot devicey. Yeah, and the story is kind of on some level kind of saying like, oh, it wasn't your fault. Don't feel so bad. Yeah. This one is not. This one is very much. This is extremely about like taking responsibility and facing yourself and facing the past and facing consequences.
Yeah.
For those things and not running away from that.
So they're like the first example of cancel culture in a video game.
Oh yeah. Also, the writer of this is a shithead in real life, which sucks.
Yeah, I thought something was up. I thought I remembered something about this. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Chris Avalon. He got like 4 people accusing him of sexually harassing them at conferences.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So it's pretty dark. That I'm like in my CRPG binge, and then you look at like every major one of these, and like either Chris Avalon and his fingers is in it, or Jeremy Soule has his fingers in it. It's like cool, awesome. Icewind Dale has both involved.
Yeah.
Dark Alliance has Jeremy Soule composing. It's like it's like I was just like gravitating towards what's a Western RPG I want to play, and it's like, oh, okay.
Well, kind of got to go in here and art, not the artist, right?
Yeah. When it's like 20, 30 years old, and
what can you do?
Almost certainly not seeing a dime from it. I'm kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that certainly lends an extra air to a lot of the bullshit here.
Sure. Yeah.
A lot of the shit here. So that's kind of the complete image. I just, if Nibelheim is like peak RPG for you, I feel like this would be good. Good shit. This is kind of the good shit. If you like walking around towns, talking to people, and doing a lot of reading, because every major NPC here will have like 10 different dialogue options, all of them with multiple paragraphs and often spitting into other dialogues. Like every NPC is a little short story.
That's very, very adventure gamey. Where you'll bring up like a dialogue box that's got like 5 choices, and then those 5 choices could branch off into another 10.
Mm-hmm. So I will walk into I spent like an hour walking around like one building talking to people.
Oh so my God.
You've got to be up for, there's not a lot of locations, so it isn't actually as overwhelming as it sounds.
Yeah. It's more compact, but it's just, it's really dense.
It's dense. I've said not a single word about the fighting, which is very funny.
I mean, I think like most people
I wasn't sure if there was any.
Yeah. Like I know most people that have played this game don't talk much about the fighting either.
It's not that it's bad. I think it's like normal. I got to it and I was like, why are people saying this is bad? This is just normal, like CRPG fighting. Like I played Coder. This is just that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is just Baldur's Gate. The deal is that there's very little of it until like maybe the last third. Mm-hmm. And then even then, like I just steamrolled every fight that I got into after 2 hours in, once I leveled up just a little bit.
Yeah.
And the only fight I had trouble with was the final boss. And then that was after I loaded a save, because I first beat the final boss just by talking to it really good.
I mean, that's the best way.
I did not have to fight the final boss.
That's the best way to beat a final boss.
It's very cool to play a game like this where like all of these incidental quests have like 3 different ways they can resolve instead of just one. Yeah. That's very cool.
I mean, it really defines like role-playing game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that the difference between this and like the JRPGs that I'm really into is actually as pronounced as maybe people say. Mm-hmm. Like there's still a lot of branching in like Final Fantasy VI. Like there's a billion ways that things can resolve with Shadow. Mm-hmm. They have those moments of branching off. And then even then, like when a game is limiting it, when it's not that it's either you can only progress this one way or you can do anything. It's that you can only progress in this one way or you can only progress in these 3 ways, because these are still computer games and the scope of what they can build here is going to always be limited.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't, it doesn't that's something I was struck by playing this, is that it did not feel like a completely different species of game than the console RPGs I'm very used to. I was still like falling into very familiar play patterns, like, okay, walk around, talk to everybody, get my ass kicked in a dungeon, go. There aren't actually that many dungeons. That happened very early.
Right.
So that makes me feel better about playing more of these games, because I'm like, oh yeah, this is normal. This is just an RPG.
Yeah.
I got this.
You do.
I just really fucking loved this game. I was really moved. I'm still kind of waking up and thinking about it more.
I kind of want to give this one a shot now because it's come so highly recommended. So
the ending's a lot.
Oh, good. Like, I'm here for endings being a lot. Like, I'm here for that. I played a lot of games where the ending is a lot. So I'm here for that. The hardest thing in this is navigating like the adventure game shit, like the event flags. Yeah, I imagine that kind of being annoying with these kind of more older games. Yeah. I
had a couple quests where I was told to do something and I needed to do the quest in order to progress on a more mainline quest, and then I couldn't figure it out, so I just killed the guy.
Oh.
And then that allowed me to progress on the mainline quest, but then it meant that the sub quest was just locked unfinished on my quest log forever. I was like, no.
Oh, the worst feeling.
Oh my God. It was kind of freeing. It's like, okay, I don't have to do all of these. The game's sort of divided into like 3 acts. I got through the whole first act on my own. I got through the whole third act on my own. The second one is when you have the most locations open to you. And that's when I started feeling overwhelmed and I couldn't figure out how to progress. And I finally looked at a guide for a little bit.
Right.
And I was so close. I was so fucking close. I needed to use an item from my inventory. I couldn't just have it. I needed to actually go into the inventory. You can click use and that would do it after identifying it. So fucking great. I'm really excited to play more of these. I'm really excited to play Fallout. I'm really excited to play Baldur's Gate. This is like, I played Coder and fucking loved playing it, but the writing wasn't really all the way there. And then Planescape is just like, oh, and the writing's just phenomenal. Now I am committed to this genre for life.
Nice.
And I went back and finished Dark Alliance, and it was an absolute slog.
Yeah,
and
I was kind of thinking that was going to be how that one wound up. I didn't think that one was going to. You don't recover from dying very slowly.
And then I just put on podcasts and was like, let's just get
crank it out.
Let's just crank it out. Because I had a moment when I started it back up, played an hour, and was like, this is going to be really boring. I could stop now, save myself probably 6-7 hours. And then I said to myself, no, we're going to see this through. We're going to do it. And then I did, and it was worth it. Even though I got fuck all out of it by the end. The final boss was so fucking dumb. You walk into a room, they walk into a hallway, there's a ghost off to the side, you talk to the ghost, and he just info dumps at you for 10 minutes.
Oh, good.
Explaining who the final boss is. You walk into the room, she talks to you for a little bit, and then you fight her, and then it ends. And it has nothing to do with any of the main plot, such as it is. And then it ends on a cliffhanger and says, but that is a tale for another day. Roll credits. It sucks so bad. I think the only thing I'll give this credit for is that the enemies don't respawn, so you can't grind.
Oh, okay.
So like the whole game, I was like kind of meticulously going through, finding all the loot, killing everything, because I was pretty tense. Like, is the shoe going to drop? Is it suddenly going to get hard? And then it didn't. So that having not being able to grind added to the tension, some tension that wouldn't have been there otherwise. Yeah. It also made me play it in a more boring, obnoxious way because I felt like I had to kill absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So, column A, column B. Do not recommend. Probably vanilla Baldur's Gate is better.
Probably.
I'm not expecting vanilla Baldur's Gate to be like as good writing wise as Planescape. I think that would be setting myself up for a lot of disappointment.
Yeah.
I'm expecting it to have more fighting.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm ready for in that engine because it's a good engine. And to just be like a lot of good RPG shit. And I think I'm really here for that. And that's my segment.
All right. Rhett, close us out. What do you got?
Yep.
So I finished Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
And felt immense despair at having no current game I was
Nothing
playing.
left. Media zero.
It's media zero, but then, as John talked about, like the indecision of what to play next.
Yeah. Choice paralysis.
There's so many paths going out in front of you, and you know that the second you take a step onto one, you're cutting off the others.
The others disappear from the timeline.
That's so scary. It's like a little commitment. It's the stupidest commitment.
It's very stupid.
It's an Uchikoshi flow chart where you take one step down one path and all the other paths literally disappear.
Mm-hmm.
But the scarier thing to me was that I wanted to keep playing Elden Ring.
I mean, understandable. Like I've played,
especially when I've got that other character right there.
Exactly. Like I played Dark Souls 1 and then I immediately played Dark Souls 1 again with a new character. So yeah.
The thing about this one is this one's a lot longer.
Well,
like even Dark Souls taking me like 60 hours the first time. It's still like half as long as this one took me.
Yeah.
I think I finished Elden Ring at like 120 hours.
Woo!
Like it's unbelievably big.
That's so fucking long,
I
right?
want to keep playing that, but it's that Trails feeling of like, oh, the thing you've been doing every day for a month, it's
gone.
Done. It's done. Stop. No. So I wanted to keep playing action RPG basically. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I loaded up
Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Weird.
Nope. I loaded up Scarlet Nexus.
Oh, hey, we've talked about this one before.
We've talked about this one before. Mm-hmm. So I kind of thought, even going into it, was like, hey, buddy, you're not sending this one out to die, are you? The game you drop 2 hours in and then never get back to.
Right.
Because that's kind of happened to me before. Where I picked
absolutely,
up stuff like Code Vein, where it's like...
potential here, but it didn't quite grab you.
Yeah. So I did not pay any attention to this game like when it had just come out.
Right.
I kind of saw it as like, oh, it's an anime. It's like kind of the B tier anime game, post-apocalyptic setting. Mm. Nothing's really looking that appealing to me. I
was the opposite side of like, oh, this looks dope.
You were very hyped for it, and then you talked about it on this podcast, and we're like, yeah, the input delay fucking killed it for me.
Well, then I played the PC demo. It was like, okay, this makes sense now. It's just the PS4 version. Yeah, like the PS4 version just has fucking input delay.
Yeah. So, but I had like kind of not really looked at the game till you talked about it. So as you're like disparaging it on the podcast, I looked up a video and went, oh, this combat looks pretty fun.
Yeah, right? Like throwing shit around with your brain feels incredible.
It's so good. So that is what got the game on my radar, even though you had dropped it at the time.
Right. Yeah.
So I picked it up for $20 the other month and was like, okay, here's an action RPG that is definitely going to feel very different from Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Like they are somewhat related, but they are not going to feel at all the same.
No.
And then, so you start the game up and it gives you a choice. Do you play as boy or do you play as girl?
Gee, I wonder what Rhett picked.
Now, stupidly, I hesitated for a moment.
Why would you do that?
I realized I was being very stupid because it said boy fights with sword up close.
Yeah.
Girl is long distance.
Yeah.
And that was almost enough to make me question, but after like 3 seconds I was like,
what am I thinking?
No, what are you fucking talking about? You pick the girl.
You pick the girl. She fights very stylishly. Well,
once you get into the game, you're like, oh, it's fine. Yeah. She fights with psychic knives.
And it's dope as fuck.
It's really cool. But I do prefer swords.
Yeah.
Overall.
So swords are as cool as it gets.
Swords are extremely cool, especially if he had two, but I don't think he has two. So this isn't a game where you just make a character like Code Vein was, and then your character stands around watching the other characters talk, which I hate.
Yeah, that's such a shitty setup. I hate it.
Yeah. PSO did that as well. PSO 2.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, you said you have a silent pro tag, but everybody else talks?
That's a lot of games. Not
this one. No, the characters are defined in this game.
in this game, so you can play as the boy or the girl, and there's actually just 2 entirely different story modes.
Yeah.
Oh, nifty.
For each of them, because you are playing a set character in a set story, and they just have pretty diverging missions that they go on.
Yeah.
And I really like that setup. Like, oh, I get to have play as a character with agency.
Yeah.
Also, you get to play as a character who has awful social issues.
Oh, she's so bad.
Oh, jeepers.
She is
so
terrible. She cannot, like, this girl in social cues is just, oh boy. She got some problems.
Did I tell that story on the podcast where like people would try to talk to me at work, and then I would just go,
Yeah.
yes, my weekend was good, and then not follow up asking how their weekend was?
Yeah. That's exactly this character.
So she is extremely relatable to me, where even I'm going, oh girl, why are you saying that to this person who's like asking you for help or whatever? And she's just like,
She just says the most direct kind of distancy thing.
If something does not concern the mission or her sister, she does not fucking care.
Does not give a shit.
She does not give a fuck about other people at all. It's very funny. She gets a little bit better as the game goes on. Obviously, that's kind of her arc, is learning how to deal with talking to other people.
Yeah, yeah.
But she's still pretty bad the whole time. And the way her story kind of bounces off what the male character is doing is very funny, because if she just said, hey, here's what from his perspective, I can see how she would just look like a total psychopath, basically.
Yeah.
Where when you play her route, you understand why she does some of the things she does.
Yeah.
But could also be explained by like 3 lines of dialogue.
Yeah, just look, miscommunication. It's like no communication at all.
She's a lot.
Yeah. Like, I liked her. I liked her a lot.
No, I really like her. So the first few hours, the combat, it's very fun at the start. You're like, oh man, I'm psychic warrior. I've got psychic knives that you can stab enemies with from a pretty good distance, and then
I'm throwing water silos on enemies. It feels real good.
There's a dedicated button for throw shit in the environment. It's like the gravity gun from, Half-Life 2.
You hit an enemy. Yeah, you hit an enemy a few times, you hold R2, and you're just going to grab something and hook it.
Yeah. R2 will just grab anything available and throw it at your locked on enemy. And you can do that like in the middle of a combo to keep it going.
Yep.
And like, she has this whole system of like, oh, you press these 2 buttons to launch an enemy, and then you can combo in the air, and then you can do air combos with the psychic throwing stuff, and then, dash towards the enemy, do an attack out of the dash to keep it going. It's like, it's kind of basic Devil May Cry, because there's only kind of like the 1 or 2 combos, but it's still fun.
Yeah, it's really like just keeping the combat momentum going with her is what makes her shine.
Mm-hmm. So the story, though, it kind of had 2 modes for me, where at the start, it's, you and the boy are the new character. You're the new squad members in this world of fighting against one of the others. It's a really bad name. It's a really bad name.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I think that's what they did in Dragalia Lost. They call them the others. And I'm like, guys. They don't really explain anything at the start of like how the world came to be this way. It's just as it is for them.
Yeah.
How the world came under darkness.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of characters, especially.
Oh boy, there's so many.
Like, I was looking into the glossary later, kind of after I had gotten to know everybody. So there's, Yuito the boy has his squad, and then Kasane the girl has her squad. So between that is like 12 characters right off the bat. Yeah. And then there's, a bunch of supplementary characters like the 2 generals, like Karen and Fubuki. Yeah. And then, there's a lot of characters. So I counted up, it's like 18.
It's a lot.
Of just characters, like psychic characters in the military, as well as, and then there's more like politicians and stuff who come into the story at points. And just due to how things play out, like you're not actually going with your squad all the time. Like you're kind of mingling with the other squad so that you get to see all the playable characters before things start to pop off. Yeah. So also, because you're using different characters and like everybody has their different powers, like that's the other big thing about the combat is like characters can share their power with you. and like, oh, this character has super speed, so when you activate them, like everything moves half speed for you. So you move normal speed and can just run up and combo the shit out of stuff because they can't react to you.
Or like you can't see certain enemies, so you need to use this other character to like activate their sight through your powers and use that. It's an interesting system.
Yeah. Like two of the characters are like, oh, they have elemental skills. Like if you get an enemy wet and then do electricity, you'll zap the enemy.
Zap them real good. That's just fun.
Yeah. So you're, first few missions, you're learning a lot of the powers and what's going on. But like the combat wasn't opening up a whole lot for me for like about 4 hours in. So I was like, had that moment right at about 4 hours where I'm like, if this doesn't change, I don't know if I can make it through, a 20-hour campaign.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I had a moment where the story popped off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And then in the next mission, it popped off again.
Let's go.
And then in the mission after that, it popped off again.
It's a fucking can of Pringles. Let's go.
Like, this story in this game, I would not say is good.
No, it's very standard sci-fi kind of thing.
Crazy, though.
Yeah.
The story in this reminds me of, like, VLR or 13 Sentinels.
I can see that.
But those are visual novels.
Yeah.
Where you have a ton of time and a ton of dialogue to expand upon the nonsense that is happening.
This is not the case with this.
Where in this, it's like 80% of either like combat dialogue or, bonding missions with the other characters. And then that 20% is just craziness happening.
Yeah.
Nonstop. So like the story popping off definitely kind of kept me hooked in, and then this the combat continued to open up in interesting ways. Like as you get your kind of main set team, as you level, like their bond levels up, they start doing interesting things. Like like they'll pop into your combo at times and do some damage for you. Like you get a skill on the skill tree. There's like activate 2 partner abilities at the same time, which was kind of the real key for me is like, oh, I can do these 2 at the same time and they combo really well.
Yeah.
Like
finding those fun little synergies.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the most interesting thing. Hopefully if they make a sequel, they'll build on that.
Oh, that's like absolutely what they have to build on.
Because my favorite ability is the one girl with purple hair and big boobs. She has her ability.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah. You love her immediately. She's great. Her ability is also really great though. It's duplication, so when you R2 throw an item, it just makes 2, so bump.
Yeah.
You get an after effect on it. So I found that combos really well with the either like invisibility or speed, because then you can just spam it really quickly. The enemies can't keep up. So it's just fun finding like different ways, and then as you get more characters later on, like, oh, these 2 are interesting together. Like, the ability stuff is fun to play around with. Yeah. And then, but the story is maybe a bit too crazy for me. Like it has moments where it really shines, but like I got to a point the other night where I thought for sure I'm on the last mission. The name of the chapter has conclusion in it.
Oh.
Things are coming together in a way where this, and then the area was like, oh, this is Falcom Final Dungeon. And it took a while. It was like by far the biggest kind of combat slog in the game for a bit. Not slog, but like it was a big climactic kind of...
Yeah, big gauntlet of combat.
Yeah. And I thought, this is for sure the final dungeon. I'm finishing this game tonight. And then that dungeon ended with a strange boss that doesn't play like anything else in the game so far. And then cutscenes. Oh, villain is not actually going to fight you. Next chapter. And I'm like, what?
What's going on?
So I have not finished this game. I don't think my opinion will change that much in however 1 or 2 chapters I have left. Right. But it was like, I kind of lost the momentum from that and haven't played for 2 days.
Right.
I thought for sure I was at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of downtime as well. There's like, I would almost call this part like visual novel, because in between chapters, you have just bonding events with your teammates.
Yeah, and they're presented in that style, really.
Yeah. And it's like, it is a significant portion of the game is just talking to characters and like learning their stories. And I think those are well written. Like those are probably more interesting than the nonsense.
The big sci-fi thing happening in the background.
Yeah. So, it kind of comes and goes where it's like, oh, I feel like playing this game, but I also don't feel like doing an hour of talking.
Yeah.
Because I am trying to do everything, even though, I don't know. It doesn't limit you in points like Cold Steel did, where you have to choose.
You can talk to anybody at any time if they're available, and like you don't have to be real picky about it.
You can do the ones for the guys.
Wow!
I wasn't sure if I was going to, and then I have.
For the first time in a game, Rhett finally talked to the guys. For the first time in my life today, I heard Rhett say a guy was hot. Okay, so I was just like, what? Did I just read that?
If anybody's going to do it, it's fucking Adol, okay?
Yeah. Crimson King. Crimson King Adol can fucking get it.
I DM'd you and Chelsea to be like, yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, wow, there we go. Like the one thing we all will agree on. So Scarlet Nexus is kind of...
It's pretty good. It's not amazing. I will finish it, which is, more than some games I've bounced off of pretty quickly. Yeah, the combat's fun. I don't think maybe... Like, I definitely don't plan on playing the other campaign.
Right.
And there's, like... They don't do a thing where, like, something happens if you beat both of them. Like,
no, it's very much... Like, the other campaign is really close in terms... Like, I've talked to somebody that played both sides of it, and, like, there is diversion, but, like, it's, like, 80 to 85% the same missions.
Interesting. It definitely seemed... There were a few moments of, like, we're in this place, and then, oh, Yuito's here too, just like 2 rooms over, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you also infiltrated this base at the same time as us. Interesting.
Wow. Wowie zowie.
Yeah. I've heard his story is kind of more about the characters around him, where Kasane feels a lot more active as the center of her story. Yeah. It sounded like kind of the more interesting one.
His position is interesting. I like what they're trying to explore with his character. But I don't know that it would be worth looking at everything again unless you just watch a Let's Play on YouTube or something. Maybe, I don't know, but it's probably not that interesting.
There was part of this where I thought, oh, this is Sonic Adventure 2. I'm on the dark side story. Right. But there is no third route if you beat both of them. No. So I'll be content after finishing her story. Yeah. She's very bad at talking to people.
She's so bad. She's so bad.
It's consistently very funny.
And it's not like a representation of or trying to call it like autism or anything. No, she's just bad at talking to people. Yeah. She's just not good at people. That's fine. Because I saw some people kind of bring that up as an aspect of her character, and I was like, I don't see that.
I kind of see it.
I don't know. Like, it didn't really hit me that way. It just felt like they're writing a socially awkward character in a piece of Japanese media.
I think it cannot be the intent, but people can definitely see it. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, there's nothing wrong with seeing it that way. It's just, it didn't really strike me as that. It was what they were going for.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was what they were going for either. Yeah, that's a fun game. Yeah, combat's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Like, any game that lets me just easily pick things up and throw them at enemies is going to be good.
There was one moment where I'm just like, man, this is like the best representation of like psychic powers in a game.
Yeah.
Because there's the R2 to like just throw, a car. Like, your basic weapon is a car, basically.
Yeah, that's the most basic thing you're throwing at things.
I get cars at enemies. So when a game starts there, you're in for a good time. Yeah. But then there will be special items that you use L2 for.
L2 to do, and they're like big moments where you got to do some QTEs to make them work properly, and when they work, it feels real good.
One of them is just straight up a bus, and you jump on the bus and drive it into a bunch of enemies. I'm like, this is fucking incredible.
It's so dumb. It's so great. They had so much fun with that shit.
Yeah. I wish they had way more of those because they're kind of the most fun thing in the game.
Yeah.
And it's nice. Like, I've been playing on hard, and it is actually very hard.
It's a hard game. Like, even on normal, I was getting my ass beat pretty early on.
I'm playing on hard and not doing any side quests.
Oh,
which means I'm always under-leveled as well. So I've had to redo a few fights and boss fights.
right, yeah.
Also, immediately coming off Elden Ring, I was like, fuck me up.
Fuck it.
Like, there's fights against Yuito where it's like, okay, I'm just going to have to do this one like 4 times.
Yeah, those Yuito fights are really hard.
I died at him at like 1% life. I thought I had it. I like leveled up and died at the same time or something. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Incredible.
God, there's one. The first fight against him, if you lose, the story just keeps going.
Yeah.
As if you lost.
Yeah.
I reloaded that one like 5 times because I was like,
I did too.
I'm just like Kasane, where I'm just like, refuse. No.
Yeah.
I refuse this outcome where I am weaker than the boy. I'm going to redo this one for like 5 times.
Yep.
And then I realized
too.
Afterwards, you fight him like 3 more times in the story, and I'm just like, well, I'm very good at it now. Yeah, that's a pretty good game.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
I'm glad you found a good chaser for.
Yeah. I was
Ring.
wondering. I was wondering how Scarlet Nexus was
Yeah.
treating it because you weren't really talking about it, so I was wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually did go back to Elden Ring for a couple hours and was like,
Nice.
okay, yeah, I think I'm actually done with this.
Yeah, that moment where it sets in, it's like, okay, yeah, I've probably.
I mean, there's like the thrill of exploring the world is gone now when you're on your second character.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I did the thing where you can rush to the capital super early, and it was like, okay, like I fought one hard boss to get there.
Yeah.
Now I'm like level 30 in like a level 80 zone or something.
I feel like you gotta just live in the Media Zero hell for a little bit, and then it becomes okay again.
Yeah.
I think it's extremely nice and euphoric, and then you go into hell, and then you claw your way back out of it, and then you're like, okay, I don't actually want to play Xenosaga 2 right now.
Not right now, no.
For me, the Media Zero hell was like the 3 days between finishing Cold Steel 2 and waiting for Elden Ring to come out.
Yeah, that was rough.
You can't do anything.
I couldn't start something big. I had to wait, and I wanted to die. No, seriously, but it was awkwardly painful, like having nothing to do with for 3 days. I was like, please give me that early access. Like
Please, I just want to play Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it directly on Steam, so when the key came in on like Friday and I could download it before going to work on Friday, it was like, oh, thank you. You saved a day for me.
It's so weird being an adult with a full-time job and then trying to thread the needle on this shit. Because like my next weekend is clear. My weekend after that is not.
No.
And then the weekend after that, I'm going on a big trip.
Right.
So I probably don't want to start something that will take longer than the next 2 weeks to clear, not counting the weekend after next.
Right.
And the fact that my brain is making those calculations is just very funny.
Time is valuable, especially since it doesn't exist in our world.
Absolutely. Time is valuable, and that just makes it that much more hard because you just want to play Suikoden 3, but you know that you're not going to like it.
Who doesn't?
You just want to play it, even though you know you're not going to like it. You just kind of want to hate fuck it. And and if it was just the time, that would be fine. But it's not the time. It's knowing I'm not going to be doing something else I would like more.
Yeah.
It's so painful.
Yeah. Big relate.
God, we suffer a lot, huh?
We suffer for our art.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that might be a podcast.
Is that an episode? Is that a podcast? Did we do it?
Yeah.
We made it. We did it, everybody. We reached the end. We've journeyed to the end. You came with us. We appreciate it. Y'all are amazing. Thank you for continuing to do so. And we'll catch you again in 3 weeks. But until then, John Thayer, tell the folks at home where they can find you.
You can find me at farawaytimes.itch.io. I put out a new Twine game a couple weeks ago, and I'm about to put out a new puzzle game tomorrow.
Hey, look at that. So much stuff. What's the puzzle game?
It's a block pushing puzzle game I made in Puzzle Script.
I hate it.
I prototyped it I prototyped the mechanics and aesthetic like 2 years ago, and then over the last 2 weeks I just made a bunch of levels, and they're really good, and I'm really happy with it.
Cool.
It's gonna be
called?
a hard
What's it called?
puzzle. It's called Gorgon's Gaze.
Gorgon's Gaze. I like the I like the alliteration there. Yes, Lumina, you came in right at the end. We're just wrapping up. You missed the whole show. Like, Rhett did a whole song and dance. John was playing violin, and then he pulled out a fiddle. Are violin and a fiddle the same thing?
I don't actually know. I've never figured it out.
I don't know. Like, John was telling everybody he was Charlie Daniels, though. It was a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And then Rhett was doing his best Chuck D impression.
Rhett talked about Public Enemy a bunch.
Rhett talked so much about Public Enemy. I'd never known Rhett to be as big a hip hop head as he demonstrated on this episode. So, yeah. You missed a good one, Lumina. I don't know what to tell you. You'll just have to watch the VOD and catch all the wild shenanigans that we got up to. But John's releasing a video game tomorrow. It's a block pushing game. It's called Gorgon's Gaze, and I'm not gonna play it because I don't push puzzles and blocks.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I respect this was expected.
Yeah. The most expected of outcomes.
Yep.
Rhett, what game are you releasing?
The game that tells you to watch wherever you starlight.
The game that watches you wherever you starlight. Gotcha.
I did that.
Yeah, John did
Talked
that.
about last tab.
Yeah, I did. I remember. Believe me.
Well, the message at the end of the podcast is not explicitly for John. I felt if I changed from Watch Review Starlight to something else immediately after he watched Review Starlight, then it would be.
I like the calculations there.
Good.
So maybe January 1st, I'll change it.
All right, so that's just like the rest of the year's locked down for now.
Yeah, the movie's that good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
it is very good.
Gonna take your word for it.
It's almost as good as Liz and the Bluebird.
It's almost like almost like you could talk about it for 50 minutes uninterrupted.
John, I believe you gave Review Starlight movie a 9 on my anime list and Liz and the Bluebird an 8. So
maybe we want to check those scores again, Rhett.
Also, I fucking hate when you change your scores.
I just did a big like going back down the list and like lowering a bunch of scores. Like, when you get that in your head, like I'm going to make
disgusting.
I did the thing where I was like, okay, now a 6 is my low threshold of I like this still.
Right.
If it's a 6, then I like this still.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was like 7 was I like this. And I just shifted everything.
Well, at least the Fate Khaled Liner Prism Ilya movie only got a 5.
Shut up.
John's like,
Shut up.
Like, John,
I don't associate with them.
John's just like, man, I don't get the cops called on me.
John liked the Review Starlight movie so much that he lowered his score for the TV series.
All right. And you can find me.
This should only have thumbs up and thumbs down.
There
Anything
you
more than
go.
that
Like,
is...
just make it a binary choice. Like, we don't need numbers and granularity anymore in review systems, I don't think.
Yeah. But if they're going to give it to you, then you have to like think about it, and it's like, ugh.
A 6 is not a passing grade.
Oh, is that where we're going with this?
That's how I've always scored.
Okay. I like 6s.
I'm okay with 6. I think that like 6s can be fine. I think they're just a little bit above average. Maybe don't do anything great.
There you go.
Like the way you described Scarlet Nexus in some ways, I would say maybe that's a solid 6. Some
Oh
ways.
my God, John, you lowered your score for Review Starlight TV again?
Sorry.
I swear it started in 8 and now it's a 6. Jesus,
I've got to live my bliss, Rhett. Let me live my truth over here. Listen, the Bluebird was real good.
I'm going to be checking that out. Like, where did you watch that, by the way?
I stole it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to watch that because I need to watch that. Yeah.
It's 90 minutes. It's very punchy. It just goes by.
I'm here for that.
Very nicely.
You know what? Here for a good queer story.
Yep.
Always. All right. And you can find me at twitch.tv/polyhead, of course, where I get up to various shenanigans, including this podcast that you are listening to right now and other VTube thingamajooters. I'm going to be doing some VTube and stuff this week. I'm going to be playing through Mighty Switch Force, which is a fun little platformy puzzle game. It's got blocks in it.
Oh,
got
you love
blocks.
those.
Got block. I love blocks. They're blocky.
Can you push
blocks.
them?
No. You don't have to
Okay.
push them, which is probably why I like that game. I don't got to push no damn blocks. And this next coming weekend, we're going to be looking at your bad rentals. I did a stream a while back where I played some of my bad rentals, which seemed to be fun, and I let people send in their bad rentals, and we're going to have them on. And while I play their bad rentals, we'll talk about them for a little bit. So I'm planning that for the 23rd and the 24th. So that'll be 2 streams. So that's like 3 possible streams for me this week. Look at that. Wowee. So active. So prolific. But anyway, that'll do it for us here at the Sockscast this time around. We'll be back in another few weeks with some more flavor for your ear. But until then, remember, we are the podcast that loves you. We are the only ones that love you. All right, let me get this host set up and this raid and all that stuff, and we'll get out of your hair. We'll get out of there. We'll get on out of there. Thanks again, everybody, for coming out. You're absolutely beautiful, astonishing, and everybody is admiring your hair right now. They think that you're gorgeous. I think you're gorgeous.
I went to a good haircut place.
You did.
For the first time in a while.
You did. It looks incredible, John. You look smashing right now. Looks smashing.
Thank you.
Like if this were a game of smash or pass, smash. Boom.
Excellent.
Not even
That's what I'm going for.
Not playing here. Not playing here at all. All right, we're going to throw this raid on over to Luna Guini, who is playing the Resident Evil remake. That game's real freaking good. So let's go enjoy her. This is a channel intended for mature audiences, just so you know. She might say words like F and S, so be careful. Your delicate ears and eye holes may see and hear things that you may not be ready for. Good night, everybody. We love you lots.
Bye.